In a world where space and time are intertwined, one man dared to challenge the status quo. His name? Dayton Miller. His weapon of choice, a flute. But not just any flute. This instrument held the power to unleash the ether, a pervasive medium once thought to fill the universe. Miller, a physicist by trade, a musician at heart, discovered a harmonic resonance within the ether. He found that his flute, when played with precision, could manipulate this elusive medium. His melodies, a symphony of science, had the potential to shift the very fabric of reality. However, a sinister force lurked in the shadows. The Einsteinian demons. These creatures thrived in the distortion of space-time, causing chaos and disruption. The world needed a hero, and Miller was ready to answer the call. With his flute in hand, Miller played a tune that echoed through the cosmos. Each note, a shot of pure ether, struck the Einsteinian demons, dispelling them back into the void. The world was saved, not by a warrior, but by a musician, a scientist, a man with a flute. Remember, in this universe of wonder and mystery, sometimes the most unlikely heroes make the biggest impact.
All right. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be joining Ether Cosmology Community Chill Sesh number 7 here in a few moments. Yes, I would be. I subscribe to Ether Cosmology and also Cosmography. We could even form a consensus. Dude, if I had known about cosmography before this, definitely would have been like, yo, Toby, we should be Ether Cosmography. Toby's only into ether cosmology, whereas we're into ether cosmography, and there's a slight difference, and now this has caused a giant wedge in the community. Nope. Nope. Infinite division. We're now fracturing. Oh, he said you guys are, trying to something flat earth stupid. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to bring humanity up to date with the hyperdrives and warp drives.
A new presentation by chance?
Yeah, I got you. Give me 1 second. I got to fix the audio here for the boys. They can only hear moi.
Oh no.
Right.
That's not the space acting up, is
Well,
it?
that's also like rookie mistakes.
No, it's an OBS thing. It was a me issue. Should be sorted now. So in regards to what was it? Antimatter guy or whatever, right? So I immediately was like, yeah, this guy is R-worded. And then as I was scrolling through one of his posts, one of his boys posted a list of citations. And I was like, oh, well, let me check out these before I call the man retarded for talking about, what was it, the anti-mass reduction thing or whatever. I can't remember the exact thing, but it was in regards to negative mass or whatever, right? And I was like, well, you know, on the face of it, that's retarded. So, but let's take a gander here. So I started reading through what he was sourcing, and I found that what they were describing wasn't so it's wrapped in general relativity mainstream garb, but what they're describing is vacuum polarization and utilizing like a repulsive force based off of polarizing the field, which would create a slight vacuum to increase propulsion, which would be akin to the amount of proportional increase it would give would be akin to that, like the vehicle that's going through the medium losing mass and traveling faster. So that's why they call it negative mass, but it's not really negative mass. It's just an additional propulsive effect due to the, facilitated by the polarization of the field. And it's like, okay, fair enough. But this, you really got to work on that too, because this isn't, anyway.
It literally grossed me out hearing you say that just now.
Dude,
that's so gnarly.
It was very similar to, what's his name? What's that guy's name? The Vortex guy.
Victor Schauberger?
Yes, Schauberger. It's very similar to Schauberger and how they were explaining how you could use you can harness like magnetic energy or whatever to create a vortex, something, create a vortex outside of the vehicle that would propel itself, as that pressure mediates to pull in, it sounded very reminiscent to that, but it was just like wrapped up in pseudo-science garb. And then obviously like the documents are from the government. So a bunch of it's like redacted and stuff, so it has this like air of mysticism to it where they're talking about vacuum polarization, which is like, a real thing, but then it's mixed in with the, the energy in space time and all this stuff. And it was like, I see what's going on now.
It's like, you're taking vacuum polarization, you've shoved it in a coordinate system based on nothing and metrics called space time, and you're going to mesh it into bullshit, and you're going to make something cool retarded. Why do you guys always do that?
Yeah, he seemed to kind of be like repurposing words and stuff when I first saw his original post, and I was the way he was talking about using phase conjugate interferometry to warp the airplane was,
dude,
honestly
a little bit rough to follow.
That was rough.
The tone in which you can talk down to, but also try to embody and like help all of humanity was hilarious to me. I was like, oh, you're a savior who thinks we're all shit. What are you, like a Jewish savior? What is this? He's like, I don't have time. I'm busy saving humanity. I don't have time to debate you with it. I have important things to do with negative mass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huh. It's being totally real too. Like, I tried to engage them really earnestly, send him multiple, earnest long messages, which it did before today, which it did as well. Like, which it was trying to really have an earnest conversation back and forth with them. And, he was like, I don't talk to flat earthers. I don't talk about flat earth. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not, I'm literally just bringing up the implications of what you're saying with regards to the measurement of earth motion. I'm trying to explain the logic of why it's all connected to you. And I'm and he just, that's not his topic or whatever, but it's just...
Dude, we should abandon, we should be like, flat earther, what's that? I'm a geostatist. I don't know what these flat earthers are, but over here in no earth motion land, that's all we talk about. So that's what I'd want to broach with you if you were interested. Just like...
Yeah, he didn't, that's kind of what I tried to do, and he didn't seem to have much interest in it.
Yeah, he's already tainted, other, different.
It's like, it's like, judging from the way you propose that, I feel like you're going to take my airplane teleportation story away. I'm not interested. It's like, dang it.
Dude, there's many flat earthers who are like, bro, it's totally, not only is it possible, I know how it's done. I can't tell you, but it has to do with the ether.
Oh, and by the way, we're not doing the space from the phone, so we don't have the typical purple pill or whatever. If you want to share anything to the space, you can drop it onto the tweet that I just dropped, that I just pinned above, and we can share that out to the streams and also, if we need something pinned, we can pin it as well.
Dude made a manual purple pill.
Nice, dude. You just circumvented the purple pill. You're the man, Toby. What the heck?
Well, that's all it is just a thread, really, right?
What is a purple pill? It's just a thread.
Yeah,
wow, dude, that's very deep and philosophical. The implications, the implications are huge, dude. How do we give people mics, dude?
I'm blowing minds tonight.
Dude, I see Cage without a mic, dude. It's making me a little uneasy.
Why do we have a space open without Cage having a mic? That's weird.
Should I try and just to be safe here, let me reload the space. 1 second.
Yeah, I think I might.
Getting fancy. You guys are pre-reloading. Jeez. Look what I can do.
Oh, look, I'm just refreshing my phone. Or whatever,
Yeah,
or whatever you phone lads do.
So yeah, I still don't see any requests, but if anyone wants to come up, feel free to request a mic. But otherwise, I will continue to chat with these ether cosmographers.
Nice. I'm glad it's catching on.
Ether what? Say that again. That was slick.
Yeah, we're talking to ghosts, bro. Or whatever.
I tried to say it and I couldn't. It's like it just was right out of my mouth. What is it again?
I got my ghost speak ambi on, bro. What's good?
Well, you know how when you take over a nation, you're like, Daenerys Stormborn, the Targaryen Slayer of Change, breaker of all things, ruler of fucking the Seven Kingdoms, breaker. Then it's like, yeah, ether cosmographer or cosmologist. I guess you take your pick. It's like a really erudite title that one can attain if you study hard.
Cosmographer, man, that's a word right there. That's
an ether cosmographer. So like, not only are you familiar with all the maps and all the cosmos, but you ether that shit. you got the etheric thread between them, dude.
Just navigating by the great animal heads in the sky.
Bro, that's a really funny concept.
I know. I can't wait till for Monday for you to.
That might be that might be a refrain in an AI song that somebody makes.
Do you feel like you could repurpose old MacDonald had a farm?
Ooh, no. Nope. Estonia? Oh, then maybe.
Repurpose old McDonald.
Yeah, like
I'm not gonna try.
I feel like it could be done.
I hear you,
dude. I'm actually a master thief. I can steal anything. So if you challenge me to steal something, I will certainly do it.
Steal gravity right out from under the ball, real quick. How would you steal gravity if someone were to ask you to do that right now? How could you do it?
I'll borrow a little shell theorem.
Did you say shell theorem?
Newton's shell theorem, basically just there's no reason that you would have a point in the center. It should be hollow because there'd be no point specific gravity.
You could just swap it out with little a though, right? You could be
that's one way to steal gravity from them. That's like taking the ball and then like holding it up where they can't reach it. And then you could also do a kinematic derivation where they can like still hit it, like they can still reach it, but they just can't get it. Like that one.
Did you see the reaction when I went to M&M and did that? They were like, "I'd like to see you do one of them kinematic derivations or whatever on the spots right now." And I was like, "Cool. Didn't you know your boy came prepared, right? Like I'm ready." It was like, all right, you got like height equals 1/2 AT squared plus VT, right? Breaks down to just a function of height and time. So little a just 2 times height over time squared, right? Drop, say, a ball.
You can't do that. Stop him. Somebody stop, dude. The way that he was screaming at you is like, I've always heard of like a rape whistle, like, but I've never seen anyone use one or heard of it.
Like, no, stop.
This dude literally pulled out a rape whistle and was just like, whistle, or whatever, however they work, whatever noise they make. But he was literally doing that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really fun. Dude, Demon Star was so pissed about that. They put up a clip after I came in there and wrecked them. They were like, Shane gets wrecked at the MMM. That was the name of the clip. And I saw it the next day and I was like,
Nice.
That's not how I remember it, but I'm going to go check that clip out and see what you guys kept. And I was like, oh, I will make a clip out of this. Thank you. Or whatever.
What a weird take on reality.
Like, dude, you know how like Winston has debates and everyone think like all the Globers rally and they're like, yeah, over there, where's How'd you get him? Oh, angry dog. What are you doing?
He heard some Witzik or word salad, one of those.
Yeah, he was like, we don't word salad here. I told you not to say that. He got really upset.
Not going to put up with.
Yo, welcome, Stone.
Yo, hey, yo, hey.
Happy Thursday.
Stone.
My man, what's going on?
Just chilling, man. We were talking about AI music, and I socially shamed Shane in front of everyone while you were gone to make sure.
That wasn't happening. He's lying.
He was talking about some new lyrics he was going to rip up and just have it completely generated by an AI with no human intervention at all. It's crazy.
It's tragic.
We're going to start forcing Shane to do all a cappella versions of all of his own music.
Yeah, you have to do at least one acapella, Shane. I rapped the Sagnac paper once, man. You have to do it.
Did you?
Yep.
Is that available online?
Unfortunately.
Wait,
are you for real?
Oh, dude, you've never heard MC Sagnac talk breaking it down interferometrically? Dude, he measured the ether interferometrically, bro. Come on. He's got sweet rhymes from the 1900s.
All right, this has to happen now.
Gotta be thick.
I think it would be more efficient to just teach you guys some music theory. You guys pick up on everything else so fast. Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's just a no-brainer for me. Just show you guys the lines and the spaces and the eggs. And, yeah, just it's really not hard.
Harmonic resonance comes from space-time energy.
I have developed an interest.
Oh, good, man. Everybody should. Music is fun. Music is expansive. Unlimited.
It's like I thought I could just make videos. It's like you're right. That's true. But you can have little background noises.
It's freeing when you have a better command of the tools.
Yeah, honestly, I like it for like background stuff. I think. Dare I say Toby used it a little bit to create your background stuff, or did you all? Dude, I thought
blasphemer
playing orchestra on every instrument on the background. Like, dude, what a talented guy! This dude plays like saxophone, piano. What is that? Fucking like flute or whatever. It was like Toby's the shit.
No, it's a lot of my like the stuff that I use in videos and stuff is all sample based. So it's just like samples that are
Is sample AI or sample human?
Yeah, like real samples, not from AI. But I will say, like, I've been kind of watching the AI instrumental music, and it's not too bad these days. It's getting less and less dissonant especially for background music. It's pretty functional.
Yes, it's sounding less and less like cat puke as they go along. It's really remarkable.
And that was obviously the plan. It was like get you to think it's cat puke. And then when I give you like almost cat puke, you're grateful, right? You're like, oh, thank you, overlords, for this almost cat puke. This is terrific. It's so much better than actual cat puke.
But if I pay extra, could I get the cat puke?
It's called the Overton window of cat puke. And if you start a little bit, then you just move it a little bit. And then next time you're accepting some more cat puke, you know?
There's a lot of things in life go that way.
Yeah, a lot
of years. Kind of the story of a lot of political systems, it seems.
All the isms seem to have the same historicity, and all the isms seem to be started by the same people. Is that our dude Corpus?
I was about to say, is that Corpus Hermeticus I see in there? That's about to get a microphone?
He's emojiing so hard.
I seen it.
Just grabbing a drink. I'll be right back.
Explain seasons, Flair. Hold on, I have copy paste less 7 post lists.
Dude,
so have you met Chad?
Dude, there was literally a guy that said, "Give me all the seasons, this, that, and the other." Like a whole paragraph of stuff. I was all like, "Okay, well, what shape is your Earth you going with here, so I can compare it to it?"
Yeah, dude, I know that. Like, even if you give them all those answers, their demeanor and response doesn't change at all. And I've proven that by literally comprising a list of all those answers. So, like, when people do when they scatterbrain just like list shit, I'm like, ooh, challenge accepted. Let me roll up my sleeve, right? Let me get one post and I'll address every single one of those, which I've already addressed somewhere else on Twitter, right? That's the game I played. Now I'm like, I've already, all right, where's this post? Yep, okay, that's this sunsets, angular resolution, optics, stars, compression, gravity, and this one. Okay, that's 8 posts. Here you go, all addressed, you know?
It seems like it gets to the point where you realize, or they do something that reveals that they're not listening anymore. And then every time you get to that point, it's just like, oh, there it is. Like now
what else? Like you get pushed to the wall and you just shotgun scatterbrain 7 topics, and then the dude answers every single one of them. Like, what do?
You don't listen and you repeat one of them, or you come up with something else. I mean, yeah, but it's just on our end. It's like you see it happen, like, oh, there it is. You're not listening anymore, and then you can just predict everything from then on, and you now know that this person is not working in good faith.
Yeah, like you're sure that they're not listening well before they ask you the scatterbrain list of 7 topics as an attack.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you can kind of like sniff it out, but you're like, all right, I can't rightfully call it out yet.
Dude, honestly, I move forth. I put forth that they're never listening from the get-go.
Yeah,
they're only just waiting.
Unfortunately, yeah. I've been got too many times recently, so I'm like,
Same.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude,
the
last couple times I got doubt, or I got like that. I was mad at myself for giving him the benefit. I was like, oh, dude, he's getting it. And then they just turn around and hit you with the Men in Black same answer, like they'd heard nothing. And I was like, damn, dog. Like, it's, like fool me once, shame on me or whatever. Fool me 1,000 times, it's my fault or whatever. I think I said that backwards. But anyway, very reminiscent of that, where like my default now is just kind of like, this person's not even going to listen to me at all. And they probably hate me. And they're about to take out some issue on me that I have nothing to do with, but it'll be good for them to get it out therapeutically. So hopefully I can help in that regard.
I mean, that's super pessimistic.
Oh boy.
I mean,
yeah, that's rough.
You can like listen to their first sentence and make a judgment. That's kind of what I do, right? I'm like, oh, you sound like a dick. Oh, turns out you're a dick, right? Or like, oh, do I sense empathy? Is you being genuine, right? And if you're asking, it's probably yes. Because it's like so weird and off-putting. We're like, what is that? It's a smell I haven't smelled in a long time. What is that, being genuine? Whoa. I mean,
Well, that's why I kind of have to be rude.
Right.
I have to be rude a lot of the time. I have to, and as soon as I can tell they're not listening, I have to immediately call it out and be like, okay, so you're not like it doesn't feel good to do that, but if I don't do it that way, then I'm going to end up wasting my own time because.
Yeah, it's all about that efficiency meter, right? Like if I'm wasting energy and I think I'm trying to speak to you and you don't give a shit, then I feel like I'm wasting my time, energy, and words. But it's like, yeah, no, I know the guy I'm talking to doesn't give a shit and isn't listening. And I think what Witsit was doing is smarter. Like, oh, do you have 7 followers? Yeah, your love posts go unrequited, bud. Like nobody gives a shit what you think. No. I'm not gonna waste my time. And it's like, oh, did you make a valid point? Of course not. You just circle jerk other Globers, didn't refute the point. But like, if you actually want to waste your time and energy, then you do it full throttle and you just like plow a post, right?
So did we lose Hermeticus?
We did. We never had him. Some would say.
He threw me 7 fire emojis on 3 posts and then bounced. So I don't know what that means or what to make of that.
Bizarre.
He flew too close to the sun and he burned out.
100.
All is not lost. We still have our ambassador.
Hell yeah.
Roll out the red carpet for Madam Ambassador.
Yes, everyone be quiet. We'll see what she has to grace us with today.
Oh, is it 9:30 yet? She's going to give a public service announcement at 9:30.
I heard there was a public address. Yeah.
Something about the haters will be addressed. I guess we'll see.
Oh yeah.
I think she had a clinical diagnosis and a personal opinion put together into.
Who's going to be doing that?
Madam Ambassador.
Madam Ambassador. Yeah. Oh, she dipped.
She couldn't handle the pressure, guys. She was like, "I'm out of here. You lads are too much."
Damn, all they had to do was shine the light.
Man, you talk about those lists, though. I got tired of them shotgunning lists, so I made one for them that I just kept on asking them.
All right, let's hear it. What's the list?
I posted it there in your makeshift purple pill there. But, McToon tried to tackle it. FTFE tried to tackle it. I think even Simon Dan tried once.
Ooh, that's a big list, bro.
Damn, the greatest minds in globular history took a crack at that.
They couldn't do it, man. They kept.
Dude, it's an impossible, ridiculous, non-real list. Look at this. Wanted to prove we're spinning and orbiting. What are you even thinking?
What am I thinking? And this was before I even heard of like what a medium was.
Okay, Nick Cage, do you want me to explain how we know that we're spinning and moving through the cosmos? Do you want me to tell you about how we know? Because apparently you missed kindergarten.
Trust me, bro. That's how because there's no test that you can do on Earth to tell we're spinning, but we're.
Oh no! Oh, you
didn't get
fool.
the mobile in your crib when you were little?
Yeah, here's how we know, dog. You go outside, right? Okay. You look up at the sky. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it's daytime, and then it's going to become nighttime. How did it happen on Les Globe?
How did it happen? How did that happen?
Answer me this. Riddle me this.
You think the sky just moves around us? Like, what, are you a caveman? Go back to your cave.
No flat earther can answer that.
Dude.
I've never heard a flat earther give an answer to that. Honestly, guys, they're so dumb. I've never heard them answer that. We got them. We got them, boys.
Checkmate. It's a globe. Pack it up, boys. Oh my goodness.
It's like 3 + 3 is the only way you can get 6. You cannot get 6 if you do 4 + 2. You cannot get 6 if you do 7 - 1. Okay, so there.
Yeah, that's a great example. It's like they got taught math. They were like, look, here's addition, right? Here's a single example, 3 + 3. They were like, ooh, I get it, 3 + 3. And then we're like, hey guys, 2 + 4. They're like, no. I just learned that it was, you know what I mean? It's like, that's that mentality. And it's
you know how much education it took me to figure out that 3 + 3 = 6, how many years, how many tests that I failed and then retook. And then the people that were even smarter than me that you have no idea that wrote those papers.
I am still
about
in
3
debt
+ 3
learning that
=
truth.
6.
But they're like, oh, you didn't absorb the principle at all. You just repeated the thing they told you, meaning you didn't learn shit. Holy cow. You know, like that's the worst part. It's like you didn't learn anything. You didn't know that you could get 6 through all these other ways. Shit, you can introduce a variable and be like 2x. Oh, God, now what? You know, like, it's funny.
Sunset.
It's like if you took a shallow bowl of water, and you try to walk across the room with it, like if it's full of water. It's so difficult to control water. And yet we all bought into this stupid thing of, this water-covered globe spinning around wildly without a container. When I think about how we bought into it, it just seems so retarded. Like, how did we not think about that,
Well, I know how I bought into it, speaking from my own retarded self. Back when I was a retard, walking around with globular glasses and thinking everything was hunky-dory, you know what I mean? And the way that it was is I didn't give a shit and I didn't look. And that's how I got tricked, right? I didn't give one shit. I didn't double check one thing. They were like, gravity. I was like, cool. Sticking to a ball. I'm like, sure. They were like, look at it spin. I was like, whoop-de-doo, Where's my video games at? I'm gonna go back to
The key was the
Dude.
grade. It was all about getting the grade. There was only one way to get the grade. You had to repeat that shit. You had to prove
Dude,
that shit.
I was
You
about
had
to
to
say.
regurgitate that shit.
Yep.
If you could do that, then you got the grade. Then you're happening, right?
boy.
There was
Remember-
no
I wish I
reason
had a vomit emoji.
Man, they treated us like dogs, man. They gave us treats. They gave us good grades. Say, good boy. Here's a good. Here you go. Go show your parents.
Here's a gold star. You want a gold star?
boy.
Tell us
You
what
might even
Jupiter is
get
made
the
out of.
scholarship.
Gold star. Gold star.
That was training for the vaxxers later. They were like, who wants a job? Who wants to feed your kids? Who wants to go on public transport? Right? So we transition right into that.
Who wants a
It's like, oh,
donut?
crap.
Who wants a
who wants a
donut? Ooh, who likes McDonald's burger? Ooh, you guys like French fry?
Burger for your life? Yeah.
Here comes the vaccine.
These are hot, golden, and delicious.
Oh, speaking of McDonald's, they got to change up. They're changing up their recipe a little bit to sell burgers in Idaho. Turns out they banned cannibalism.
No, that's like old McDonald's.
I mean, doesn't the FDA allow like a certain percent of human DNA to be in the food?
I just want to know how the certain percentage of who is the certain percentage of how is we couldn't manage to separate dead people from our food somehow. We got
Well, you know, I find it interesting. All these kids go missing, and we never find the bodies.
And we always have McDonald's. I'm no math scientist here. I'm no science rocket guy. But
Ronald McDonald with the red nose and the
Yeah,
bloody mouth.
we've got billions of kids missing, billions of customers, sir. Nah. This can't be anything. Yeah, I'll take a number 4 and a Coke. Oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
A liter of cola.
I just said I'll interferometry.
Can I get a liter of cola? It's for a cop.
You've been Coriolised.
Sorry. It was golden. I had to, golden arches. I had to do it.
Yeah, it's like, well, rat feces allowed. There's a certain measure of that. I love how, all right, hands up. Who trusts the FDFA to tell you what's important for you to eat? Who believes the FDFA gives you the proper threshold for the amount of rat feces that you're allowed to consume?
Well, they said.
I'm just glad they put a limit on it, dude. They didn't put a limit on curvature or whatever. So that's unlimited. Imagine unlimited rat feces.
For me, yeah. Well,
I like that they told my parents and all of our families growing up that we should eat a food pyramid that's similar to what cattle should eat.
Yeah, it's like, it's funny. Jay mysticists get around and they just invert shit. Like, oh, what's that pyramid? Okay, put that shit on top. Okay, now we're gonna go tell them.
Then there's Taco Bell that had
bread.
a love-hate relationship with horse meat for so long.
And then they said it's cool if we put a little bit of poison in your toothbrush there, but
a little bit of neurotoxin.
We should have been
Oh, yeah, by the way,
suspicious.
don't swallow your mouthwash. If you do that, make sure to call poison control.
oh, that's your toothpaste. Yeah, and let's make the toothpaste taste like bubble gum, so the kids totally won't swallow that.
Well, mouthwash too. Yeah, that stuff's dangerous. It's
Oh.
poison.
Listerine's literally a floor cleaner.
Yo,
Just-
real talk though. I know we're all into health and poison and whatnot, but I ran out of what is it?
Baby penguin parts,
Mouthwash,
or-
right?
Oh,
So I just use Mr. Clean, and I'm telling you, guys, life hack.
Life hack, bro. Life hack. It's like the same shit.
How many baby penguin parts do you think are in Mr. Clean on average?
Oh,
Dude,
what's the BPP? Let's see.
Yeah.
I bet you there's
Probably
no
over 9.
Yeah,
Bro, I just blend my dishwasher tablets in my little Ninja, and I knock those suckers back. It's pretty great.
that makes a lot of sense. They look like they taste delicious when they fizzy, right? Like,
Oh, dude,
Is it Bushtail?
it's like baking soda. It's pretty awesome.
Bush tree. What's the name of the coffee again?
Brush tail.
Damn it! I'm trying to be a spokesman. Remember the product.
I loved hearing that plug.
can't even be a plant, Nicolas Cage. You gotta like step it up like two gears.
Don't forget your bush tail. Damn it! I keep on.
Brush tail, bro.
I don't have coffee on the mind apparently.
Dude's just looking for a nut.
Keep on eliminating bush when not with trails, but regardless, there is no penguins in it. No penguins.
That we know of for sure. We're certified.
Yep, we're like
Totally
we're
a
like
Bigfoot, though.
77% sure, so that's pretty good.
Well,
Actually,
some
the latest
certifications from the
numbers have just
FDFA
come
also.
in. We're now
At least it's
97.
63.
We actually just went from Sigma 3 confidence, which is 99.97% sure, to Sigma 5 confidence, which is 99.9999997% confident that there is no BPPs in our coffee.
I
Thank goodness we finally got that. That next
I just know
one.
that their minimum threshold for approving PPP is like they'll allow it at 62%. So like you can go as low and still get it certified. So I'm just saying we're way at the top threshold of that allowance, but you know, FDFA.
Does anyone else smell coffee right now? I'm smelling coffee.
Smells like a nice bush tail.
You must have
or brush
navigated.
tail.
Yeah, you must have navigated to brushtail.coffee, and that must be that smell coming through your computer monitor.
But
Or your phone screen.
just in case people don't know, Toby sells really good coffee. I drink it every day and think about you guys.
No diddy.
Me too. It's so good. That's why we all just like chill for it constantly, even though it doesn't matter. We're just like, honestly, everybody should buy it.
I mean, it is good coffee. I definitely. The main reason I've never stopped roasting it is because I really like the coffee.
The main reason I'm okay with lying about baby penguin parts in it publicly is because Dunkin' Donuts is shit, and I didn't know that until I tasted this.
All right, let's.
I can tell you the house blend is man, it's good. I got to try some other ones now.
Like I didn't even know I never tasted coffee, Kenny. Am I right? I was like, I had no idea. I'm sorry, taste buds.
There are definitely kind of levels to it, and having it within the week that it's roasted is, I would say, the top level for sure. But anyways, I mean, there are some theories that the fluid medium that makes up everything actually is caffeinated and has a bit of a nutty flavor to it. So there you go.
So where is the link to this cocaine enriched coffee?
You can go to brushtailcoffee.com or brushtail.coffee, BRUSHTAIL.COFFEE. That's all me. I do it all myself on my grill in my garage with like a special motor drum set up, and yeah.
So space smells like steak and aether tastes like nutty goodness.
It tastes like a nutty Ethiopian dark roast.
Yeah, it's like a hazelnut sort of thing.
A little bit of that
Nice. I like hazelnut.
I thought space tastes like Tang.
It's a common misconception. That's because of NASA propaganda. They put that taste in your head.
Yeah, the monkeys. Or am I missing it? Oh, I don't know.
Tang is only good when you eat it directly out of the can, concentrated.
You gotta chew it like it's pop rock candy. You know what I mean?
Ah, it is mecca.
What did they mix the Tang with?
I will confer that.
Space magic. Of course.
You're
Oh yeah, they took Tang to the moon, didn't they?
Dark matter.
Right.
But they didn't take any water, Lily. So how'd they drink it?
They ate it straight like real men.
Maybe they just waited for it to rain in space.
No. They melted it in a spoon.
I heard they got.
Oh, dude, they mainlined it?
Yeah.
They were like, all right, boys.
Dude, make some water.
Part of the astronaut training was how to hardline tank. They're like, all right, boys, once you get up there, Buzz is going to tie you off. Steady that vein.
They definitely just drank. They drank a lot of water before they left, and then they just used their.
Oh, they camel humped it. I get it. Yeah. Just
There's ice on the moon and water. Didn't you know? Come on.
They didn't need to bring any. That's right. It
All
was
you need is
there the whole
hang powder.
time.
Then you just go chip off some ice cubes off the moon and
Yeah,
mix
Chip
it
off
in.
the old block, eh?
Dude, they just brought a microwave. They just melted the ice. Makes sense.
No, it was Buzz Aldrin's urine.
Mm.
There you go.
Oh man.
Did he
Always
set up
go-
a tripod as well, or no?
I
Nobody.
think there's
Nobody.
video footage of it. I think there
Damn.
is
Oh,
video
you killed
footage.
it. That's on you. Do you feel that? You feel that awkwardness? That was you.
Oh, that
No.
was me. I killed it. Sorry,
My
guys.
mic was muted. I was coughing, but I did get the tripod. Respect.
Appreciate it. Killed it
So,
again. You like that? That was pretty good. 2 times in a row.
Anybody see any loud, mouthy, confident globers anywhere?
I think they just don't talk to us anymore.
Dude,
There's a hardcore shortage of those. These just right when we got to have a spaces going, you find it's empty cupboard. I don't know what it is, man.
I'll tell you, boys, they don't like talking to me at all. I definitely went into a space and watched a dude just like break down and asked him a question. He was like, no, datum. I was like, whoa. Well, instead of ruining it for everyone, I'll just not speak to you then. That's clear. I didn't know that I had the license to get the, like, you remember the I don't want to talk to Whitson hats that everyone made that Jaren wears all the time because people just don't want to talk to Whitson. I'm like, oh, can I get a couple people to get, I don't want to talk to Shane hats. That'd be sweet.
Dude, Toby, you have a doppelganger down there, bro.
Oh yeah, that's me when I get triggered. If you try, a good way to do that is say some really, really dumb stuff in like a Discord server, and then have someone that knows me hear it, and then they'll come be like, yo, this person's saying a lot of really, really dumb stuff in this Discord server, and I'll be like, no, I'm kind of busy. Like, I'm really not in the mood. They're like, no, like they're saying really dumb stuff, and they
You have to get over there and defend it now, yeah.
And then I go in there, and sure enough, they're saying really, really dumb stuff. And then I turn into, my eyes do that, and that's the Twitter account that I use.
Cuts them to pieces.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, they're drastically allergic to word salad. They crinkle up and turn into the Wicked Witch.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to stay in the thread zone, run them thumbs.
No, that is an acquaintance / friend of ours. I don't believe he's trolling me.
Is that
Whatever,
Eli?
Shane.
It sounds like
There he
Eli. I can't tell.
Going for a little ride or whatever.
Well, I've been looking into this whole thing, and I'm beginning to think that you lads might be like either AI or CIA. I don't know. I'm just really wondering about you people. You guys are too articulate and logical to be natural humans. Like, natural humans aren't smart, okay? We're dumb, okay? And I think that you guys are just CIA plants. You have to be.
Slow down.
Is that a fourth ether cosmographist that I sense in the audience speaking up? Was that a... Wow, panel member has become another ether cosmographist.
A lot of ether sciences going around tonight.
Especially that ether accreditation.
Cosmologists. I think we even got I think someone even said they were an ether cosmetologist, and they're doing some kind of special makeup thing.
Oh, man.
Ether cosmology.
It's just makeup, but it's all in black. It's great. Yeah.
It's like where you get your hair cut, but ethereally.
Hairstylist, that's even more funny than you know.
The ether cosmetology is a growing trend for sure.
I think
Yo, what's up, Flat Lad, Stationary Earth? You're free to jump in whenever, bro.
Is that Shinky?
Yeah, I just wanted to state that I want to coin you guys as the guardians of physics. Like Shane, Toby, Witsit, Alan, you're like the guardians of physics. So I would like to know, if this is okay in the space, like, what is your backstory? How did you get together? How did the secret alliance form? Like, can we get a timeline of how this whole thing transpired?
The Dark Triumvirate.
Yeah, we're gonna have the CIA. We're gonna have the CIA put out a dossier for us, so you guys can read about it.
Yeah, meanwhile, it's all redacted.
you guys,
Dude, yes, it's gonna be super redacted. That's how you. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah,
I like that
I
lore.
think you guys are CIA. My hunch is right.
It's like once there was nothing, then boom, there was three, right? Like just like the Big Bang of the Dark Triumvirate was born, you know?
Nah, but the problem is if you actually you go back and just look not too far back at our video history, you'll see where we got all sorts of things wrong and had to make corrections. You'll see the day where I called a Coulomb a column, and then Stone popped in live and was like, "Hey, dork, it's not a column, it's a Coulomb." So you know, there's
It's like, what do I know? I'm just an idiot that reads online. I didn't hear anyone else read this stuff before me. What do you mean? Like,
yep.
But wait,
Alan,
isn't it-
so just a real quick little backstory. So Witsit has been doing content since before 2020 for a long time, and then Shane came across Witsit. Shane became a Witsit fan and actually even chatted with him, became friends with him. Shane started a Discord server called Cosmology Tartaria, or was one of the mods of it, and kind of ran things there and ran a bunch of events and stuff. And Shane was also posting things, sharing things of Witsits and like his debates and stuff. I came across a debate between, I want to say it was FTFE and Witsit. I think it's actually what it was. That
Main
Shane
server.
had posted. What was that?
Main server. Come on, man.
So that was your post of the main surveyor debate. Yeah. Okay. So then it was, it was a post between main surveyor and Witsit. And then that brought me onto Shane's server. And then me and Shane became friends. I was still a Glober. My brother, this was 2 years ago-ish. My brother was a flat earther, and he had been like pestering me about it. And so I was like, all right, I need to like figure this out and like, shut him up. Be like, like I need to like put an end to this, or at least do a proper investigation for, to be respectful for him. And then, I already kind of knew the moon landing was fake. So I was actually kind of a little bit afraid to look into it, I think, secretly, kind of just trying to ignore it. And then, I popped in, I found a bunch of Shane's content stuff Shane had posted of Witsit and such. And then I popped onto their server, and then Shane and Witsit, especially Shane, like kind of took me under their wing and, chatted with me, answered a bunch of questions. And then, Alan had been like an OG flat earther for a long time. And then someone told him like, "Hey, stupid flat earther, why don't you read a paper?" And so then Alan said, like, you know what? Okay. And so then Alan started reading a bunch of papers. And then Alan started even going on YouTube and just reading this crazy Russian translation of this ether dynamics book, this super dense ether dynamics book. And Alan, I remember seeing it was like 2 a.m. one night, and I like hardly knew Alan yet. And I remember just seeing this live stream of Alan just reading through this ether dynamics book, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna be friends with this dude.
Right?
I got like a good feeling about this dude. And then we all kind of became friends through like chat and stuff. Shane and Alan became real close. Shane started helping Alan with a bunch of his streams and stuff, and they kind of became like a team of content creation. And then we were all friends with Witsit, and and then I started the Ether Cosmology Discord server. And I remember when I was like thinking about starting it, and I was like, yeah, it would kind of harken back to the old server you used to run, Shane. And Shane was like, man, that's gonna be a lot of work. And then I remember Alan said, ether cosmology, I'm there. And I was like, all right, cool. So we did
Based
that.
on the name, so let's do everything.
Yeah, he's like, oh, the server called that, I'll be there. And then we got super lucky because Alan, well, not really lucky. Alan, through his through the work he did, made the connection with Robert Bennett, and Robert Bennett came and started doing some doing some discussions with us. If you don't know who that is, he's a PhD professor that's published a bunch of papers on relativity, on debunking Einstein and ether theories and geocentrist theories, and so he came and started chatting with us, and then Stone started popping in a lot, and now Stone's kind of been we were super thankful to have had him around to help keep things straight, because honestly a lot of times we call him our quality assurance. And then we're all like big fans of what Witsit does. Witsit pops in from time to time, and we're all just trying to figure out what we're doing.
I'm the stray dog who
it's-
never left.
There's
What's
the
that?
history. There's the history. No black magic required.
No, I'm the stray dog who never left.
Kinda, yeah. That's not a bad way to put it. But then also Stone runs his own Telegram server, or his own Telegram chat, and in his own Telegram channel, and you should check both of those out because he's got a lot of fantastic content over there. And if you're not a part of that, you're crazy, because it's just good content.
Yeah, dude, the main thing to take away is anyone listening who doesn't do any of this stuff can just sitting on the couch and listening to us. Like 2 years ago, you could just make a move like right now, and you can be making moves and helping everyone understand things in like 6 months, right? It's super easy. Like one dude can challenge you to read a paper, and you can be like, all right, I'm going to be Alan. Ready? I'm going to read 173 papers on the internet just to spite you. I'm going to spite learn me an encyclopedia knowledge worth of flat earth material just to show you how wrong you were. Whatever. Honestly, a lot of good came from spite learning and spite.
Just as far as careers and backgrounds go, it's a pretty wide range. That's for sure.
It definitely started as spite learning, but then once you start learning, like you're like, oh, I want to do more of that. Like it became addicting. It was like a thing that had been missing that I didn't know was missing. So shout out to anyone out there who's just like I guess like Toby was saying, we get stuff wrong all the time, but just put yourself out there and learn something, man. Just start reading some stuff. You'll figure it out eventually, dude. Like what's it gonna hurt? Like.
Only Witsit is not wrong any of the time, it turns out. Most of us are just normal.
And Pizio can interpret anything intuitively. It's crazy. He's like a superhuman in that regard.
Yeah, and lucky for us, we're like cool. We're not like, oh, I hate you because you're different and smarter than me, and now because you're gonna make my thing look stupid and less bright, I'm gonna start a vendetta. We're all like, oh, can you improve my thing? Awesome. Can you make it better? How can you do it for me? All right. What steps would you take though?
But Alan, how is it pronounced? Pizio?
Yeah. It's Pizio, 100%. Don't let anyone tell you differently. And when people start talking about Ptolemy, dude, there's literally a giant fucking P before that T. Why? Where's the quality assurance man of Stone to be like, it's Ptolemy, guys?
You're close, Alan. You're always close on that pronunciation. It's actually a little bit closer to Ptolemy. You gotta it's got a bit of a French curl to it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Think of in your head, you have to think the word croissant when you make that sound, and then put Ptolemy on the end. Sort of a dirty flop. Ptolemy.
Yo, we got proud down there. Although I decided to click on someone's profile, so I navigated away and left the thing. So I can't.
I think I broke Alan.
Dude, that was funny as hell. I was just laughing super hard.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
You got to think of a croissant. Oh, Stone, by the way, you successfully socially shamed me into learning names that I don't know. Like before I read them out loud or like do presentations on them. or like I was YouTubing some guy's name, you know, because it looked, oh, it was Paul. You know how I used to say Paul Lavue, and you corrected me on that. Well, I forgot what it was, and I had to go back and listen to it. So it's Paul.
We take the small victories where we can get them. Hey.
It's that sweet romantic French language, dude. That Paul.
It's always been confusing for me because you've always said Lavue, and I always I'll look at the paper and be like, okay, so that's not the guy he's talking about. And then I'm like, wait, maybe it is.
Nah, dude, whiffed super hard on that. Not sure how that got into my head, but it's definitely not Lavue.
And you were confident about it for so long that I just kind of was like, that's Lavue.
Dude, yeah, like side note, Alan makes up lingo and slang words of his own accord in his own dialect at a pretty constant rate additionally. So any one of those mistakes could have actually been an Alanism that you didn't properly attribute and absorb correctly on the fly, right? So it's tricky. It's tricky.
Or maybe we just all don't say it right.
That's
You're still
also
cool. You're still cool with guys like Fizo, right?
Oh, are you talking about Fizo?
First of all, Fizo. Fizo.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, Fizo. Dude, that's what I'm calling him now. Physio. Shout out to Physio.
Physio and Fresnel's.
Yes.
Man, I don't hate the Globers, but I do like on Fight or Fight. Even when the drunk Globers come up, they give us an opportunity to bounce back and forth, and we just we get such good clips because we're like, oh, chump, come on up here and sit on stage, do your stupid thing. Okay, now freeze. We're gonna go ahead and take it from here. You know what I mean?
El Presidente has rolled up out of the big limo and strolling across the carpet, yes?
Okay.
Where is El Presidente?
Hold on, we're getting Secret Service to clear the room.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotta check with Secret Service first before you let him in the room. That's right.
The pressure works.
I see.
We got to make sure. Does everyone here have proper security clearance? Make sure Ken's always strapped. We're good. JT, you're live, sir.
We want
take
some
a back
extra.
y'all are awesome. I just watched The Truman Show. My wife had never seen it, so I was like, hey, babe, you got to watch this. So we watched it, and my kids too. And, dude, they had 30 minutes or 45 minutes of questions after, just about the realm that we live in and what people are told about the globe versus the enclosed, firmament model. And my son, he's 6. He's like, where's the exit? And I was like, well, there's windows of heaven. And, he's like, no. Where would I go to see the firmament? And I was like, well, you'd have to go any which way you'd want to go. Any direction you want to go, you'd eventually hit ocean. And then you would eventually hit the ice wall. And he's like, oh, and then you keep going. And it was so cool because I got to be honest with him and say, once you hit Antarctica, I don't know if it's 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, but it was fun, man. Just a fun family night with lots of questions. But I'm here now.
Wicked.
Well, welcome. Always glad to have you.
I was going to ask, have you had some people with some interesting questions or folks genuinely asking questions tonight?
No, we were commenting they're scared of us, and they don't actually come and talk to us.
I was enjoying listening, joking around and telling, and all the laughter. So I was having a good time. Thank y'all for that. So I'm curious how much somebody knows in the room about photography.
Did you want a PhD master level, or did you want a double PhD?
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
No, that's fine. Just a master's. I'm joking. So if we had, hypothetically, if we had a super bright light in the sky similar to the sun, and when you, I was told it was overexposure. If you had a black spot in the middle, that was frying your lens and you had to stop recording. and it wasn't a natural thing that happens in nature. But the photography and videos I saw, which made me want to come ask questions, is this same exact bright light that passed overhead, passed over a lake or a stream and a lake. It seemed to be a two-part water body. And the reflection also had the black spot in the middle, which would hint to, I would think, that it's really happening outside of the photography. That was my question.
I'd have to see the specifics. That sounds interesting, but yeah, I'd have to see the specifics. It sounds like it's a, I mean, that could be something. Yeah, I don't know.
And it was centered in the bright light, like the black spot was prominent on both the lake, the sky, and that other little water body that was between the lake and the sky. You know, it's like a further back on the horizon body water. And it, you know, it was given the same.
So, do you have an image that you could post?
Yes, sir, I do. Let me go grab it. Put the link in the purple pill. Yeah.
Cooking with heat.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll be right back.
There's no purple pill, RG.
Yeah, it's not purple yet, right?
Yeah.
No, you could just post it on your own channel and your own account. We'll just come over and look at it. Yeah, you're right here, man.
Okay, well, I've got it on there. Let me just come right back. I think it's like further down on my timeline. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, just give us a date.
Hell yeah, brother. Yo, is that Sinpu? Man, I always say it wrong. Shinku. Shinku. Thank you. What up, G? How you been, dog?
And you jacked up his name though, but you can't barely read it now.
What's up, yo? How's it going?
Going good, man. Going well.
I was reading about an interferometer the other day that was that utilizes a beam sourced out of a nuclear reactor, and every time I think of a nuclear reactor, I think of you. So
I appreciate
you just broke up at the end there for me. Last 5 words.
Oh, I said every time I think of a nuclear reactor, I think of him.
Is that a Hallmark Valentine card?
I think so. Dude, he hit me up one night with this. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, nah, this is dumb. And then he was like, look at the cross section of a nuclear reactor. And then I looked at it and I was like, shit, you might be a fucking genius.
Yeah, I've had a moment or two like that with Shinku.
Good old tokamak or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just hit me, and it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see patterns like that, man. Like, have you ever seen the layout of cities and then like a computer chip board? And they look very similar.
100%.
Well, some cities. My city's a fucking disastrous afterthought mess with undertows and a thing that government center goes under a tunnel, under a bridge, under the water. It's like no one knew what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, your street routes were done when people were pulling wagons with horses.
Oh, the border longitude didn't swoop through and redistribute all that for you?
You know, over here in the Boston on the eastern seaboard where things were named twice, you know, New Boston, New London, New York, all that shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
new thing that of the thing we're
creativity.
escaping? Nice.
But yeah, I don't miss the Globers. I just miss the clips from the Globers. I think we had a good week of clips. I think that one Flat Earth Friday, that one douchebag Glober who like we would have banned outright, gave us the opportunity to flex some nice knowledge on him, which was.
Oh, you mean Clay or Social or God, take your pick?
No, definitely not any of those guys.
Okay, good.
Well, I think Yeah, I don't know. They don't seem to want to pop in over here. I don't really have anyone blocked these days. I don't think Alan does, and you are not currently a co-host, so if anyone wanted to come pop in. But, this is also just titled Open Discussion, Ether and Cosmology, and most people that are not versed in these things will just, the most that they can say on the topic is Michelson Morley debunked the ether without knowing what that means or what debunked means or
I love that.
What a proper understanding of ether even is. So yeah.
I love when they flex their Google search one-page result knowledge on us. Like, bro, I've never Googled it before. You got me, right? Not only have a published database and hundreds of PDFs to put on the cause, but Google, didn't think of it. Nailed it.
Then you get guys like Peter that just say ether every other word.
Man, you don't get guys like him. He broke. I gave him one speech on the geographical datum of what a graticule is, and he was like, gratum, daticule, gratum, daticule, daticule, graticule. It was like he was done. It was like, oh, were you retarded before, or did you just go retarded?
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he tried to troll us last week, and that was a big waste of time. So, yeah.
He is a waste of time. It's ridiculous.
Well, maybe he's got a definition of space-time for us now.
Do you want me to invite him up?
No.
I mean,
all right. I was only going to do it if Stone had a very particular line of questioning for him.
How about real globals?
Not really, man. It's your discretion. No.
No, I'm okay with it. Last week it was really rough. It wasn't even interesting because he was just trying to troll, and it wasn't even entertaining.
What we figured out is how light permeates through an ether as it pertains to the shape of the Earth, and
your orthogonal ether to the datum was not orthogonal enough, so it was.
Or orthogonize itself to be orthogonal with the orthogonized.
He just said orthogonal datum and made it over and over again with every word that he said.
Datum.
Nice.
See, look, we don't even need it. We did this whole thing. It's his whole act.
Alan, remember when I said that the ether regains its space violently? I don't remember what your counter was to that. I'm just not thinking about that right now. Do you remember what your counter was to that, or you don't remember?
Is that a sonic boom?
Oh, I can't remember. I think it was in regards to the singularity thing, but I think it was we have different definitions of counter space. I think was the ultimate thing. Not that it was a refutation to it. I think that's what it was. Just different conceptualizations of the mechanism.
I was trying to remember because I just thought that just came across my mind.
Orthogonal.
Yeah, basically, when you're orthogonal to the perpendicular, you're good to go.
That's some good data.
And then that'll create a harmonic vortex that'll resonate in perpetuity. And then sometimes it'll exert extremities, but not always.
I like quick learners like that. I like people who pick up shit on the fly, and then I like people who try to bullshit the bullshit artist, dude. It's like, oh, we just deal with trolls all day. You don't think we're gonna sniff that out? He's like, orthogonal ether to the thing. We're like, word salad, bullshit. Hey, you can't word salad us, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, you know what was crazy is he orthogonaled so many times that he just happened to come into the one stance where it was related because I was talking about the orthogonal alignment to the thing.
Yep.
So I was
find every situation in which orthogonal actually applied.
I was like, oh, did you actually listen? That's dope. And then he was like, no, orthogonal. And I was like, god damn it. You got me. It's like when you call someone and it goes to voicemail and their fucking voicemail is, hey, you guys already know. Hey, dude, what's up, bro? Been a long time. Psych, I'm not actually here. You're gay as hell. Leave a message. I'll call you never. It's like, god damn it.
They got one friend that does it all the time, and you're calling him, and it's ringing, and you're like, it won't be this time. It'll be him. I need him to answer. He's going to be there, right? And it's ringing, and then it answers. You're like, oh, I know it's him this time. And of course.
That asshole friend that actually keeps up with changing it so it gets you on random occasions.
Oh, yeah, dude. He's got backups.
You guys have friends that are flat earthers? Because only those people put that much time into stuff like this.
I don't know. My dad totally did it. He got my ass. I called the other day. I was like, oh shit. Oh, he's taking forever to answer. And then he finally answers right. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And it's like, yes, voicemail. Well, got you. Oh, man.
Got you, dog.
Mine is
roasted by my own dad.
Mine is my own voice doing like an impression of the robot voice, and it's like, "Hello, you have reached 312," and like it like reads my number, and like I did it as a joke, and then I like started getting like I forgot about it for like over a year, probably for years, and I remember I think it was my brother or someone was like, "Hey, I tried calling and I thought it was your phone number, but it was like a really weird voicemail," and like I was super surprised, like it apparently threw a few people way off. Like they thought it was not my phone, I guess.
We got this Publishers Clearinghouse check, but it's not it's not him, so.
Back in high school, I had my own phone number, luckily enough, for a while. And for my answering machine outgoing message, I actually recorded the local bell services not in service recording. This number is not in service. So I actually took that recording and then used that as my outgoing message. Freaked people the fuck out. I actually got a call from
I don't know. Did he
company.
move? I don't know.
The fucking phone company called me up and said, hey, like, we don't want to do any more service calls because of your message. Could you please change it? Thank you.
Give someone your number and they get that. They're like, you asshole. He moved on me. I know, he gave me a fake. No, it's a fake number, Karen. Yeah, I don't know.
This is a message from region DS2.
We used to make our voicemails like we actually answered the phone, you know, it's like, hello? Oh yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? You know, and carry on and always fool people. That was kind of fun to do. I enjoyed that.
I mean, like, I guess. It was like,
yes, sir.
That's funny.
Hey,
that's funny. We were just talking about how we hate people that do that.
Oh, right.
We were just like, that's the lowest form of humanity. It sucks. It always catches you by surprise. It makes you fucking hate everything. That's really funny. Then you were like, I do that. That's crazy.
Can I raise my hand higher? Does it go higher? It's me.
I appreciate that. That was great.
Oh. Man, I remember. Dude, I can't imagine a time where I didn't know Alan. God, there was a time, dude, when it was just me. I remember that Tartaria time, Toby. That was scary times. There was times when I thought talking FTFE every week was a smart idea.
Yeah, for how long? How many months? You did that?
17.
I was
my God.
blown away.
Dude.
I recently went spelunking through all that content to find a few specific things. And yeah, dude, 17. I was blown away. You did it for months. You did that.
Yep. Yeah, like 3 months. FTFE was an event every week.
You're an FTFE facilitator, bro. Disgusting.
It was called FTFE versus an entire server or entire Discord server of flat earthers. And he would come in and argue, and it would just be a kind of a crap show. But then usually Witsit would pop in for a long time there. Witsit was popping in, and it was pretty interesting at times. And then there was the time where Witsit and him were going back and forth, and then Gleam he was trying to talk about the arc of the parallel, and Gleam brought up multiple pages in the arc of the parallel showing the math and how it didn't show curvature. And that was when FTFE had
heart attack.
Yeah.
I have to go suddenly.
Yeah. That was crazy.
We got a question in the chat. Holy crap. How did Shane survive that? 17 weeks.
Yeah, that's a question.
So
Dude, I went insane.
do you go to like betterhelp.com or what? Do you have PTSD?
Dude, like, so it was chaos, right? But it was managed chaos. I was there, and the modicum of respect that dude, like, I just made him be not a dick to most people, even though he was super straining at the bit to be a dick as hard as he could, right? And then, like, when I was like, oh, I'm done, I'm not gonna do this anymore, I was like, you guys do it with other people. And the first week, they were like, fuck you too, you're banned, I quit, fuck you.
Dude, that's amazing. Yeah, and it got pretty bad towards the end there. There was he he did the thing where he muted Witsit in Discord
immediately,
so he couldn't hear Witsit. And so then I had to start relaying what Witsit was saying to FTFE because FTFE refused to, it was just like,
dude, yeah, I don't want to talk to Witsit. Do you remember when, like, I gave Witsit priority speaker and, like, they didn't know what it was, and we had a good 3 weeks where Witsit would just overtalk FTFE and reduce him to 10% volume, and people wouldn't be like, oh, for some reason I can't hear the Globers, and we're like, yeah, it must be a glitch or a technical difficulty of some sort, right? And then, like, Big Tune would message me like, dude, Witsit is priority speaking over FTFE. I'm like, oh, you're right, Mike. Boy, I don't know how we got that power. I'll have to look into it in a couple weeks and get back to you how we, exploited the server and how we actually got that permission. Just fucking with him. It was so funny. And then for like 4 weeks, finally, they were like, you can't have. I was like, oh, it's come to our attention that Witsit was able to overspeak all of you numpties, and we'll
well,
fix
that's
that
some
now.
good context behind him muting Witsit.
That is priceless.
Yeah, it's.
We'll have to look into that. It'll take a couple of weeks, though.
It's like, how do I tell you that I don't give a shit, dude? It's like, where are you? It's like, you know what this is? Where else do you get to go and be a fuckwit all the time, right? It's like, no, dude.
You know what's funny is a lot of these Globers, they seriously think that this flat earth thing is just like this silly little fad and it's going to blow over and we're all going to, come back to our senses, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I've had a few Globers tell me that, so it's just
tell them it's stationary.
But in case that happens, lads, I will tell you that you guys have a career as comedians. So you guys could just start a comedy routine thingy. So just you guys have backup. Don't worry.
Liliana,
nice.
There was Globers who thought that I was so close to becoming a Glober back when I first was a flat earther. Like when I first started speaking because I was just polite and let people finish their sentences. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna convert him. He's obviously gonna see how retarded all this is and come to our side immediately, right?" And then they became such fans of mine on the Glober side that when they finally figured out that I wasn't gonna switch sides and that I was gonna be on this side for a while, they became my biggest enemies. Like, dude, his name was Roland My Boulder. Dude, you remember him? Followed me around Discord. I was like, why do you care so much about me? I finally figured it out. He was my biggest fan, turned into my biggest hater. He was like, oh, you were going to switch. You were so, like, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to bring balance to the board.
Dude, Shane, I remember coming into this thing not knowing much of the science and not having really a clue. And they thought fresh meat because I just jumped into the modern day debate after show and they're like, oh, we're going to get this one back. And it's like, no,
Yeah, they love that. Yeah.
I care more about truth than anything. And, the realms, our world's not moving. It's easy to get to the bottom of the deception if you just look, but so many won't look and they don't mess with me anymore. I guess they just figure I'm just a lost cause.
Yeah, you gotta use that as bait. Like, oh man, I really wish someone could rid me of this illusion of flat Earth that I'm burdened with. Like, oh, I can't help myself. Like, there's so many illusions that I believe. If only someone could show me the logic around here, right? Like, oh, the sunset. I wish there was global, play it on like that.
But the sunsets, man. I mean, seriously, everything's a contradiction of what it actually really is. It's stupid.
Because, their dream is, to bring back a flat earther. They're like, oh, dude, all right, the first time I talked to FTFE on his show, he labeled the show, I think I saved a flat earther. That was his retroactive causality name.
Oh, no!
Yep, I remember now.
He created a super fluffer.
Embrace the boys.
You really were supposed to be the chosen one. Wow.
They were
That's
like, he's gonna come back, and I was like, I'm just being polite, right? They hadn't heard of it, dude.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
Well,
I'm probably gonna crash. I'm pretty tired tonight.
did
I did
you-
leave the video on top of my. Yeah, I left. What's that? Is my microphone okay?
Hey, RG, I
It's
can hear
on.
you. I can hear you really well. I looked at that link real quick. I played it, and I did see the black spot, and I did see it as it was going down, reflecting in the water. But you know, my opinion on it is I've never seen anything like that ever, and I'd have to see
Me either.
a few more examples of that. And two, let's just for example say that is an artificial sun in that picture. The only difficulty is how would it overtake or also be in the sky when the real sun is still there? Because we know logically the real sun is still making its rounds. So
yeah.
there's no.
Well,
Go ahead.
That happened that happened in Brazil. What the guy was recording and breaking down is not in the United States. I did find out there are simulators in the sky taking measurements and information, and I'm sure that's, or I found it on NASA's kind of thing. But I never said it was a sun. I didn't want people to think that. I'm just curious about what it is because, like you, I've never seen anything like that. And that's why I come to smarter people than me, of course, to kind of ask questions and learn, you know. I got jumped on. I'm not going to say the show, but I kind of got jumped on and yelled at about it and then kicked off the stage. Not by a Glober, I'll say that, but I'm just curious. That's all.
Yeah, I think I was listening to that show. It might have been the Melodome when y'all were talking about some stuff. But honestly,
we were over talking.
We have to be careful as truthers to not fall for any truther traps. And if you see something on TikTok or see something that looks really, really different out there, you have to say, you know, has this been repeated? Who else caught this, you know, phenomenon? And if they haven't, then just put it on the back burner. Maybe just watch it. Maybe file it away, and do more research and see if you've seen anything like that. Because if it's a one-off and it didn't catch national news, then it could just be a truther trap trying to get us to look dumb.
Sure, I get that point. Yes, sir. It's a pretty long video. I think there's 3 or 4 more examples. If you want to watch it all the way through. I just don't have time tonight, and I'm sure y'all don't want to watch a whole video, you know. But I'm just going to leave it there. Y'all check it out when you want to. I'll probably be back on tomorrow night just to, if y'all do get a chance to watch it, just touch up with it and catch up.
No, I'm glad you posted it. It's on my, you know, it's in my history. I'll check it out. I like looking at different things, and I like that you came and shared it. And it either is something to look into or something to disregard. But I appreciate your time and you sharing it.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you. And well, everybody here, I appreciate them. Everybody's input is why we are where we are now. This far in, you know, and I appreciate that a lot because, you know, I'm limited in what I can do, and one thing I can do is pack my mind full of truth, you know, and get that much closer to an ultimate answer, I guess. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all's time. Much love and God bless. I'll catch y'all later. See you, RBB.
All right, brother. Get some good rest.
All right,
we'll see you around.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
All right, bye. Yeah, see y'all.
Did you guys see little Bardic down there? Do you guys remember Bardic?
Never met her.
Oh yeah,
I did.
The old Miller was a Glober, so Earth ball go spin.
Was that a Bardic argument? Boy.
No, that was a different.
Or no,
guy.
I'm thinking of Ralph. My bad.
He just
all a blur.
Oh yeah, Bardic just tipped out. We
Yeah. Brush tail coffee. Brush tail coffee.
Penguin free since '93.
What happened in '92? You don't want to know. You don't want to know the story
Yeah, we
about
don't talk
92.
about those dark days. But I'll tell you what, we sure made a good profit back then.
Money
was. Are you talking about before we started regulating?
Yep.
Oh man, Dude, you
People
guys
sure loved the coffee back then too.
You know what's crazy is there's all this, oh, penguins are endangered. Oh, we got to, guys, there's so many. They're making coffee out of them. They're making billions off that sweet penguin money. Right? Those sweet baby beaks. But we have chosen to remove ourselves from that and become pure.
Those happy little feet.
Dude, the happy feet. You know what puts a smile on a customer's face? It's not coffee from Colombia that's dated from fucking 3 months ago. It's happy penguin feet. Yep. Penguin feet.
Now that we have the certification,
preservatives.
now that we have the certification, it's like, do we get in extra trouble if we start sneaking them in again?
Ooh, I think they give us a license to go back down to that legal threshold of 61%.
Ooh, so here's the thing. Legally, there's obviously no consequences. We could do that and it would be straight fire coffee, obviously. It would taste slightly better than it does now. But morally, right, we would be on the hook. Unless we started doing some weird Talmudic advertisement that made it so ambiguous on whether or not we put baby penguins in the coffee or not. You'll never know.
Well, let's just say that we do have a penguin logo for a reason.
Do we usually go?
We certainly do, don't we, Toby? Wink.
We certainly do.
Where's my employee Jewish mysticism lightly button?
Just a logo, I promise.
Hey, this week, there's a special. Toby's taking his roast to the synagogue to get it blessed by a local rabbi. So there is going to be an increase in the cost of coffee this month, but it's because of that blessing. So deal with it.
Geeks, man.
Massive increase in price because of that, but it'll be very worth it.
Hey, rabbis aren't cheap.
Can you use the pop-up butcher houses to ground your coffee, please?
Are they kosher?
Yes. Are they kosher?
Kosher feet, of course. Of course.
Tunnel friendly.
Certified at the local guy. Well, it depends on what you mean by kosher. Are we following the traditional Talmudic reasoning, or are we just making it up on the fly so we can piss in the face of God?
What are you, a Talmudic Jew? That's crazy. You get on stage all by yourself? Whoa.
Oh, I've been reading the sacred manuscripts, 10,000 pages. The first 5,000 are full of nothing to confuse the Goyim reader.
You must have.
You can read all about our crazy OCD dog shit, and hopefully you give up and think that we're good people with just a crazy mental illness that's inherited, and it's not it's not some massive ploy to subvert you or anything like that.
Yo, tablet. Who was it? Shepard was like, "Have you read the Talmud?" I haven't. I've heard this argument. Can you give me specifics of the Talmud that's so bad that this requires Jews to denounce the whole thing? I went, sure can, bud. Ready? 6B, page 78, right? It says, getting Kenneth, it says only the Jews are humans.
Right.
Non-Jews are not humans. Sure, can't have that.
Not allowed.
Well, I didn't post it.
God.
It's like, yeah, there's 37 references there. It's like, have you read it?
I mean, the thing that gets me most is that, well, I mean, a moil, a mitzvah, was it a mitzvah?
Oh, you talking about that? You talking about that delicious soup?
Yeah, but that one. Yep.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, you know, the straight juice, bud.
You know that thing that. Because I brought it.
That shit's wild.
Oh, the yuck on Yabinas?
Yep, that's the one. That's the one.
Dude, you can't even read the Talmud on like the general air, or like mothers will shield their children and people will freak out because that's like the text that it is like it's not allowed to be played in the air, guys. So
yeah, just know
that's crazy.
All Goyim children under the age of 3. Never mind.
Smells anti.
I'm sure you were gonna say something legit, but yeah.
Moral of the story, it's not quite Goldilocks and the Three Bears with a bunch of moral, what do you call it? Positive outlook stuff.
So yeah.
Flatland looks like he wants to say something.
So Jewish mysticism, what do you guys think about that?
Well, how about your boy Einstein? His math tutor his name was Max Talmud. What?
Bro.
Your boy, so the guy that went on to become a math wizard was taught by Maximum Talmud.
Dude, that sounds like hate speech on its face.
How do you spell coincidence?
It's crazy.
Are you committing racism with that saying, or
no?
The guy married his cousin twice.
that sounds like racist, anti-Semitic stuff too, though.
Yeah, you gotta chill out with that, man. You gotta be all inclusive. Come on now, it's 2024.
I mean, he included his cousins. I'm just including them as well.
Dude, diversity, equity, and inclusion, guys. Sure, it's
He
the
also
scream of the
included his
Antichrist.
cousin's kid.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Who doesn't like Antichrist slogans, though?
Woo.
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Hmm.
Build back better.
The system is not broken. It's working at full capacity.
I mean, but all of our physics is based around a guy with such strong family ties. Like, come on, what's wrong with that?
Is all of physics based around relativity, or is it based around tiny atoms?
Physics.
Yeah, for sure. Because they don't even everything, even when they're like finally acknowledging, like, okay, yeah, relativity's full of it. Speed of light's not constant. Blah blah blah. They're like, well, speed of light's constant, and relativity is real, but we're just modifying it, and we're gonna have a not constant speed of light and a non-relativistic relativity that's definitely not ether. Trust us.
Dude.
And yeah.
Hey, so when
I
they
get
say
it.
speed of light is constant, do they mean like always through everything, or
Dude, just imagine like you're an eager scientist trying to understand stuff, and they're like, there's two things you gotta understand, right? First, everything is little bubbles of nonsense particles of everything, and the second, the constant speed of light never changes. So go experiment and go, analyze the world through those lenses, and you're like, oh, everything's retarded. Like,
so when light water doesn't slow down?
Yo, so Cage, check this out. Back in the day when everyone, pre-relativity, they understood that it would change due to the medium, like the induction rate, right? So it would literally be slower, right, in the medium. And then when the way that they teach it now, because they've quantized it and all this stuff, right? They literally say that as it's going through the medium, it's taking a different path link. So like it's molecular, that little tiny photon is bouncing around the molecular structure of the medium. And because of that, it has to take a longer way to travel. And it's like, ooh, yeah, dude, does it?
So it's not slowing down; it's just taking like a totally different.
They literally take it to the extreme. It's always the same. It's just taking a longer time to get through that medium, which is crazy, dude. That's deifying light to the extreme, dog. Because what it is though is that it's to get it away from the idea that it's an induction rate and that it's a particle. So it's like, they're like, oh, it's in there bouncing around. It's the same speed. That's why it's constant, because it's not even a thing. It's actually a little tiny particle, and it has to bounce because particle.
Well, was that Ken or Shinku responding? Because I didn't hear either. Sounds like you're talking to somebody on that I'm not hearing.
Oh, I was talking to Cage.
Can't hear.
I can try to do a quick little refresh here.
Can you hear Nick Cage, Stone?
No, I can't.
No, he just accepted the Grammy. Wonderful performance, Mr. Cage.
So if they're saying that the light is same speed as water, and
I can flush my end here and see if that fixes anything too.
Yeah, bounce down and come back up, and we'll see if that one.
I just refreshed it on our end, so that's seems to be working on our end. So it probably is.
Try me again, Nick. Hit the mic there.
Yo. Can you hear me?
He spoke.
Nothing.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Damn. Okay, back in a bit.
No,
sorry, Stone. Bummer.
Yeah, no worries. What was your question, Nick?
So, if the speed of light isn't changing and it's taking a scenic route, what does that do to Aries' failure?
Ooh, it's a good question. So the way that they would have to answer it is by saying that the light, when it hits the water, just somehow no, because they don't say that now. I don't know. They don't have an answer for it, dog. That's literally why they call it. They just say it debunks the ether and walk away from it.
Yeah, how they say it went the opposite direction, right? Isn't that what they say essentially? Like they literally
So if light's a particle, if light's a particle, it would have to accelerate at 30 kilometers a second to also go through the water to not require the correction angle. So
yeah, it would not have to.
Oh yeah, dude! Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, no, that's exactly that's exactly the issue. Jesus, how did I? Yeah. And then if you're a wave lad, you would have to say that that there's ether in the tube that's carrying it in the opposite direction of the ether for some reason, or opposite direction of the motion. Sorry. And it's like, what? Why would that ever be a thing?
Yeah, or it's just the sky moving.
Nope. You can just look up and see that the sky's moving, and you can look down. Okay, here's the thing, dude. This is where the Globers go wrong with their sky analysis on which is moving. You look up, you see sky move, right? But you look down, do you see the ground move? No. Oh, wait. No, wait. That would be our argument. Shoot.
It means the sky is not moving. We are.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. Sunset, dude. Obviously, right? You're retarded for not going against all of your senses and your feelings and your eyeballs, and what you see as the sun moving is actually you giving the appearance of the sun, because you're rocketing backwards faster than the speed of sound, giving it the appearance of setting. You dummy.
Oh, well, Shane, you can't always trust your senses. Your senses lie to you. And science tells us that. We found that through science, because when you look up at the sky and see the things move, we know that we're also moving with them, even though we can't feel it, but we can explain it mathematically. So your senses can't really feel math unless you go to school and get degrees in it. And then you can start to feel it.
How crazy is it? People like mathematically you can be equal, and it's like, yeah, only retarded people in the 1900s thought that. Because Einstein came around when they were like, oh, the earth don't move. They were like, hold my beer, bring this KG on stage, right? He's going to do his thing, do his magic guy, dun, 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 some math, and the world moved around you. You see that? I inverted the mathematical framework of your reality, and now, through my mathematical mysticism of inversion, the earth has moved. They called him the earth move, right? Like, great, well done, well done. That was his big acclamation of history. Literally made the earth move by inventing math. So now, through relativity, we have equivalence of helio and geocentrism, and only now, we can't even get people to admit that. We start with that premise. They're like, no, you're not gonna trick me. I know only heliocentrism explains things. You don't make predictions, right? And it's like, bro, we're just gonna start on the starting premise, and you guys are already lost.
Dude, how about this, Shane? All cell nav is based on a geocentric model, where you're,
Yeah,
but
of course it is.
But there's not a single there's not a whiff of heliocentrism in there. To the point where
man, I was looking for it.
Yeah, dude, when I was reading through that, what was it? The supplemental corrections, or hang on, I'll get the name wrong. But anyway, it's the supplemental corrections for the almanac and the ephemeris and all that. And they were like, hey, how did you guys get these correction angles so everybody could cell nav on this globe as if it's a plane and just apply these correction angles? And they were like, oh, well, you know what we did? We went around in this geocentric coordinate system, and we mapped like a 2D. We took a 2D rectangular coordinate system, and then any deviations to that we corrected for. So like that's where the oblateness of the Earth and stuff comes from when they make sky obs, and doesn't match up. They go, oh, you know what, oblate, and then so that's what they did there. And then they make specific notes in there about the math, and they're like, okay, so check it out, boys. There's this thing called the barycenter. And, we could use that for sure for navigation, but much easier to just use this geocentric coordinate system. Like it's literally all based off of that, like inherently and they show you this really cool
diagram of the celestial sphere with the fundamental plane, and everything is mapped to the edge of that celestial sphere. And it's like
fundamental plane.
And we're dealing with people right now. Like, this is why Austin was bringing that up on Flat Earth Friday about if you can't be intellectually honest enough to talk about geocentrism, then what good are you? And it's like all navigation is based off of that. None of these distances, oh, the sun's 93 million, or is it 6210? Like, if you're trying to navigate, it's 6210, right? So
like,
it's
but
just,
we know all the stars are different distances, dude. We know that one's a bajillion miles away, and we know that one's 93 bajillion based on the light and interferometry and the standard candle and how we know the length of luminosity based on supernova. We know all that for a fact. However, when it matters, when we got to navigate them, when we got to use them practically, they're actually all the same distance in equidistant web around us, moving uniformly with lateral motion 69 miles per degree. But we know they're all actually different distances, except for when we need to use them or navigate or measure them in any way.
they're all different,
then
but
they're all
they
the
all
same
move
distance.
laterally and in unison together. But whatever.
Dude, that's the craziest part. When they're like, we needed it to be a sphere, and it's like, no, what they did, they've always had this celestial sphere, right? And now they trick people into thinking that's the Earth. It's like the biggest scam. And you get people on the internet like, no, I know that a secant projection is because this distorts the globe this way, a glorious, masterful globe. It's only distorted when on these gross flat maps, and it's because it cannot be presented in its masterful shape of sphericity. And it's like, no, you idiot. It's because you see the sphere, you see the sky in a hemisphere, right? And they're trying to map that onto a plane, and that's downward stereographic projection. And as usual, you guys have inverted the shit to be like, oh, it's because it's a globe. But it's like, no, it's because you see in a hemisphere. Anyway.
Well, you know what they say.
Man, those like that one dude's going super hard. This is my new test now. It's like, all right, so you know how the coordinate system has nothing to do with the Earth? They're like, no. And it's like, yeah, cool. You know how the graticule is separate from the Earth? And they're like, no. It like longitude is the Earth. It's like, okay, but like, watch though. It's like, watch me calculate based on a radius and a circumference and the sun speed, the distance of the tropics to the graticule down to the decimal place, right? And it's like, yeah, well, you did globe math. And it's like, no, you just take the cosine of the latitude, right? So you get 2 pi r for a circle, and you get 2 pi r times the cosine of latitude. So if you're at tropics, 23.5, 2 pi r times the cosine to the right. So it's really what? 1 minus 0 point something sine squared. So it ends up being like, oh, look, I can calculate. Look, I measured the Earth to be, this exact, haha, Philip, I got it. And it's like, no, tricked you, right? Where in this math did I measure any fucking thing? When did I complete the topography of the Earth? And which part did we measure? And it's like, admit that it's just all calculated or be retarded, right? Like, obviously, I just calculated it and I didn't measure anything.
But look at the figure. It's out to the 9th decimal place. And
but it matches, Stone. How could it not be the answer? It matches.
Alan, what you said, that was pretty great. It made me think about what my daddy always used to say.
Your daddy was a wise man. Few words, though.
Took a page out of the old book. That was pretty great. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce down to listener. It's been fun.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. It's been a hoot.
You got top quality banter.
Yep. Peace.
Appreciate it, fellas. All right, bye, guys.
Madam Ambassador, your hand.
Well, actually, Flat Lads has had his hand for longer than I have, so let him go first.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even see it at all. So yeah, Flatlads, what's up?
No, you go ahead, Liliana. I'll be next. No, you go. No, you go.
We're in a Mexican nice standoff.
Listen, old ladies. One of you ladies has to go first.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna say, slightly unrelated, but not really. These climate alarmists, they keep telling us about how, like, there's the size of like Rhode Island or something, the ice sheets like, beyond the ice wall, like right above and beyond the Antarctic ice wall. And I think it's the Western Antarctic ice sheet. There's like apparently like huge chunk has melted. And so basically the ice wall has receded, right? It's gone further back because we lost a lot of ice. So that's in the Western Antarctic. But it's so deceptive because they don't tell you that on the exact opposite side, which would be like the Eastern Antarctic, a size exactly as big, actually it's slightly bigger, but let's just say it's the same size. The same size has grown, like the ice sheet. That means basically the ice wall has come into the, I guess it would be the Pacific or whatever, the South Pacific or whatever, maybe South Atlantic, I'm not really sure. But either way, on the other side, exact opposite of where it's melting, the ice sheet has been growing just as big. So see, it's so deceptive that they don't tell you all this. They'll just make a big deal about the melting ice and they'll get everybody to panic and whatnot, like, oh, climate change is real, blah, blah, blah. But they don't tell you that on the opposite side, there's chunk as big that has actually grown. And so in the end, we haven't lost any ice in the Antarctic at all. It's just shifted spots, So basically the ice circle, the basin, has just slightly moved and actually is moved in the same direction as the magnetic North Pole. So it's just so interesting, all the deception that goes on. That's all I wanted to say.
I like that. It makes me think about the moon map and, the ice wall possibly moving over time. I mean, that's an option to think about. But give up some space on one side, yet it's growing on the other side. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought too that would kind of go with the movement of the magnetic field potentially too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of the moon map theory, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, but like that's all on a scale of like decades of that, like 20,000, 30,000 years, and we've only been doing this for like 6,000 years-ish, right?
That's true. Young Earth.
Young civilization, at least, right? To be fair, like who the hell knows about the Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Could be infinite or whatever, but like us here, 6,000.
Well, the magnetic fields just picked up pace in recent years, started chugging across the, quote unquote, across the North Pole. So who knows what it's done over the last however many thousand years.
Well, didn't you see we have all the data from always on the magnetic declination charts? We had the
the ocean, the ocean floor.
Whatever you collect magnetic declination data with back in the 40s, they get all of South Africa, all of
those totally convenient spreading zones.
Yeah, I like to use my fingernails to determine my height.
Well, before Flat Lads picks up his mic on this topic of possible moon map or possible small area in which we can travel, within the ice wall, I believe that we are all experiencing a fall in nature of this realm. And, we've heard there's possible giants in the past. And if there is a fractured down version of where we live, and if this place that we're at right now that we call home or Earth does get restored, it would be amazing to see what the whole entire thing would be if we could travel around. Like if we're going to spend eternity here, if that is an option, not saying it is, it could be. It'd be cool if there's a whole lot more playground to play on. But that's just my thoughts.
Well, I certainly would be interested in knowing how many years it takes one of those really big trees to fully grow.
Yep.
But I think that the only way that Earth could have sustained really, really giant life forms, and I frankly I'm very open to that concept that there would have been giant trees and giant life forms. I'm like totally. It seems to me like there's some evidence, right? That it could be. My feeling is that probably this enclosed dome that we have and our Earth realm itself I have a feeling that it can expand and contract. I don't think that it's just set in stone, so to speak. I think it's all plastic. Well, not like plastic, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that it can expand and contract. And certainly, there's mythology that talks about that, so perhaps the Antarctic basin itself was way bigger. Maybe the realm itself was way bigger, and that maybe it was in an expanded state, and that trees and animals and everything was really, really huge. And I don't know, in the Bible, I think it's somewhere Christ is quoted as saying that we're living on the carcass of other living beings or something, because it seems to me like the most beautiful stone and marble and stuff like that, it mostly all comes from something that was living at one point. Like, I don't know that compressed dirt alone, like completely inorganic compressed dirt, could make stone and things like that beautiful. Like, you look at petrified wood or whatever, it's so pretty to look at. I mean, it's all conjecture. I'm just like throwing ideas out there, but I'm completely convinced that the size of the earth and the size of the sun and the moon and everything, none of it is fixed. I think they can all expand, they can all contract, and it's all up to God,
Those are some good thoughts. And then also oxygen quantity, content, quality, all that stuff. Like, we don't know. We don't know what the history, like what happened actually in history. But yeah, I'm good to move on to Flat Lads unless anybody had anything else they wanted to drop on this subject.
No, I totally agree, Laylee. Just, I mean, who really knows? It's like the one thing I know is I still have a problem with like subconsciously taking a lot of their explanations of things kind of seriously. Just it's just pure indoctrination. I can't really do a lot about it except just keep learning. But like because when you really like, it's just insane the logical leaps that they make, the assertions built upon assertions, built upon assumptions built upon assumptions, about stratigraphy and why there's a great unconformity, as far as, their billions of years or hundreds of millions of years not adding up in their own theory, in their own stratigraphy records. It's like the whole thing is such a gross mess. And when I actually, it actually kind of angers me when I see the amount of assumptions that are being made upon other assumptions. And so, those are really good points. And, it is all kind of conjecture. So we do need to be careful because, I don't want to be making the same mistakes as them and trying to explain things that I don't know about. But, it's certainly okay to have questions and want answers. And, it's crazy. Who knows what our actual, what a lot of this geology really means? It's a great question. Were these actually trees? I have no idea.
Well, I mean, we don't have to stick to some kind of dogma, but certainly it's helpful, I think, to try to imagine and try to think like, well, is this possible, or is that possible, or could that be possible? I think that's kind of interesting, and it could be useful potentially.
Yeah, here, and that's I know for me, as far as just figuring a lot of things out with when I was kind of figuring out the geocentric stationary flat earth thing, it was hard for me to it's true that falsification is independent of replacement, but until you start to actually use your imagination a bit and start to think about how else it could work and really realize that there are other ways, or maybe even just another way. But I think it's it's fine to have multiple explanations, just to realize when you're first figuring it out that there are other explanations of these things, especially when we start realizing, we start being a little more humble and admitting how many things we can't explain about the sky and quote unquote space, and even our just the quantum scale existence. But yeah, it's important to be curious. ask questions.
I mean, we might just be living in a very particularly dark, ignorant time. Maybe there was a time in the past where human beings could just see things with their own eyes and figure everything out. Like maybe they had the talent or whatever to like look at the sky and they could just tell roughly how far things were or whatever. Like maybe their senses were way more acute. Because I don't think, that we necessarily would have had the same biology forever in the sense of like our capacity, the senses, the capacity of the senses is what I mean. Not like we had 4 arms or, 4 legs or something. But I mean, like just our capacity of what we could know and what we could sense and whatnot, And then, of course, then on top of it, we've been dumbed down. And then whatever knowledge that people might have collected in the past got destroyed. Like only demons do that stuff, destroy beauty and knowledge and libraries. It's so sad that we have such a history.
Oh, pardon me.
Hey, Shane, check your mic level, I think. And while you're doing that, I would comment in agreement on how the technology of observation is so different now from then. That the guys who had optics set up to view things far away, like the luminaries and the stars, were physically, manually manipulating focal distances within their own observational gear. Now we have autofocus circuitry, logic, and we just push the button, it goes zwit zwat, and we are not in tune at all with what kind of change in focal length is happening within the camera when we change what we're looking at from, say, the moon to, say, Jupiter. And we're a little out of touch with that, I think.
Well, I think we're the dumbest generation to ever walk. But I think 2 generations ago, and like every generation before that, everyone knew the Earth was flat. Everyone knew the sky was a clock. Everyone knew how to navigate based on where Polaris was. Everyone knew the concepts of like basic. Like now, everyone knew 2 generations ago. I think right, like your great grandparents and everyone before that. And I think that the way that they like did communist subversion right after World War II and took over the kids, so that their kids, and they, like those 2 generation gaps where they just taught flat Earth is actually retarded. We've always known. Matter of fact, have you heard of Eratosthenes? Yeah, he proved like before you could even remember that, based on the sun, that we knew the shape of the Earth was definitely a ball. And it's like, oh, everyone knows that, do we? Yep, everyone knows. Okay, off you go. 2 generations, tell your kids, tell their kids, tell their grandkids, and here we are. That's how easy I think it happened.
When you look at the funding of the education systems, it's hard not to suspect that something was amiss.
Like that, so that 4,000 clips of flat Earth appearing in newspaper articles from 1900 to like 1960, even, like well after World War II, and then you couple that with like Ruth's story from Flat Earth Dave, and you're like, okay, so either this has been a really new deception, and you have like the appearance of a continuous historicity of globularity, or we've always known it's a globe since forever. Those are the 2 possibilities. Either you injected the illusion of continuity, or we've always known it, and that's a fact, right?
Yeah, I often think about that, Shane. I think about how precious we are, the people who are open-minded and critically thinking and investigating and digging, because the momentum is growing. I don't want to be assumptive that it's going to blow up mainstream and everyone wake up just because the evil one and the liars are pushing back. But what's crazy is they're targeting our children, and in a way, we need to just keep being genuine, honorable, draw people to us with truth and integrity and high vibes, because you wake people up with light, truth, love, experiments, and the actual data. I like Stone's work because it's like raw truth data, because I think the deceivers are pretty blinded, and they truly, some of them think if they just kind of hang on, then this little small corner of people is going to die off or die out, but that's not the truth. I think the truth is going to keep pushing up, but we need to keep our eye on the younger generation and not let them swoop down there and take them.
You just leave out a few ether hot pockets in the hallway, and they'll all just grab over to them. We'll be fine.
Well, I think ether hot pockets can only be grabbed and or enjoyed by ether cosmographers. So who has that title?
Hey, we're actually partnered now with ether toaster strudels. So you can get those everywhere.
That's hilarious. Okay, Flat Lads, you got to go, man. Grab the mic.
Yeah, can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, you're clear.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to pose, I appreciate Liliana's input, and thank you, Run Boston, for making everybody notice that I was still here. I have a question, like, so when we see a sunset, like the mainstream is telling us that it's not really there, like it's already beyond, but we're seeing the sunset. So how does that play with an eclipse? Does an eclipse not happen in real time? Do we not see that in real time? Like, to me, the logistics don't work to, if you don't see the sun in real time on a sunset, you can't see an eclipse in real time during an eclipse. Like, am I missing something there?
That makes sense to me. So you would see a delayed eclipse. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's probably how it plays out in their model too.
Yeah, it just makes sense to me. Like if they're saying, oh, you can see the sun, but it's really already beyond the horizon, but now you're looking at an eclipse, that's not really there. Like an eclipse wouldn't be possible, in my opinion, based on their model, if we're waiting on 8 light seconds, 8 light years, whatever, for the light to get here.
Minutes. Actually, it's a really good point regarding like the Elias effect too. The Elias effect. It's like a really good point regarding that.
Dude, I got some feedback, Toby. You can finish up your thought, but I got some feedback on this eclipse.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So I don't know if you knew this, Flat Lads, but I drove with my family. It was like an hour and a half, so that could be in the absolute path of totality. And it was really striking, the experience as it was getting darker and darker, because when there was even a sliver, there was just a sliver of sun or the orb of the sun still showing from behind the dark body. It was hard. You couldn't look up at it. It was too bright. But what I'm trying to express is it got down to a millimeter, what appeared to be a millimeter, and the instant it was total. The whole vibe of the air, like the feeling, immediately it was much colder. All the crickets started making sound. The birds stopped tweeting, and so there wasn't there wasn't an 8-minute delay in that happening. And I know you could say, well, you were seeing it. You were seeing that happen almost like in the past, or like when you felt it go cold and when it got quiet. And I don't know how to describe it other than the energy was just drastically, like somebody not only turned out the lights up there, but my body could feel a massive change instantly. And then whenever the sun started to come back, the second it peaked around that black body, the entire environment just changed again. So I'm trying to tell you, experimental, like the way I experienced it was that stuff was close and it was a lot more immediate than this outer space BS. So I don't know if that helps, but to your thought, they try the sunset on the flat Earth is one of their like favorite things to try to get a gotcha on, and they're trying to say like it's refracted up and all that. But I really like how you brought it up into the higher part in the sky. Like, well, what's going on with the eclipse? My answer is it is closer, and all this stuff impacts a lot quicker than they say space is. So I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, that's really, thanks for sharing, because you were in full totality there. So that's like a really great experience to share. And like to their point, right? They would say, well, so it's not the light may be 8 minutes late, but what you're seeing, what sweeps across you, what's happening there is the absence of light. Of that 8 minute delayed light, there's an absence of that occurring, and that absence is instantaneous for you, and that absence of light sweeps across and it causes somehow supersonic infrasonic, so it's supersonic infrasonic waves that shoot out from that sweeping absence of light. Now, I guess in their what they try to say, it's basically a big pressure mediation event, which we would agree with. But I mean, there is I mean, just something very like something to be said for something feeling so tangibly different when you actually have the totality hit. I definitely felt it, and I wasn't even in full totality, but I definitely felt something. And yeah, so there's infrasonic waves that sweep out from the point of totality, and that just means like super duper low volume, like below human hearing, and then or low as in low frequency, and then there are like winds that all the winds across the earth, everything around totality just totally changes. All the weather patterns go totally berserk. A lot of animals, they do a lot of peculiar things because I mean you could explain that with just them thinking it's night and such, but yeah, that's my big thing when I hear that is just like the Elias effect or the Eli effect is not necessarily in line with the sunlight with their story either. It's certainly not an 8 minute delay, but the most of the effects of that actually happen before and after totality. So yeah, I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was my question, is whether there's an actual 8 minute delay in what we perceive as physical beings and seeing this light instance of a light being obstructed by another body. Like, are we actually perceiving that 8 minutes later than it actually happened?
You can't tell with only one observer point.
Can you extrapolate on that more? Like, how can you explain that? How
Well,
we would
we're all down here
perceive?
on the surface, right? All that light, regardless of how fast the light is going, regardless of how far the light is traveling, all that light is coming down and hitting us all here on Earth at the same time, roughly. And we have no other real place to measure the event from that's farther away from us enough to matter. So yeah, hard to say. You know what I mean? We don't have any depth perception in trying to find that out.
So would the light perception be anything different than the energy perception?
You're talking about timing as opposed to intensity, right?
I'm talking about perception, like opposed to what we think is energy, opposed to what we're feeling as beings.
I don't quite know where you're going with that.
I may be talking out my ass, but I'm just saying opposed to what we're told and what we're expected to feel and perceive, opposed to what we actually feel in our bodies and perceive via the eclipse. And this time is totality, and this time is we're out of totality and back to normal light.
Yeah, I like your curiosity, and if I was to give a bro answer, what I think is, you know how they like tell us it takes 2.5 seconds for the transmission from Earth to get to the moon, and that's why there's a delay. They want us to believe in a delay in communication because it's so far away. My answer would be this realm, all of it is closer. And so I would say an observer watching an eclipse happen is seeing it in real time. So the millisecond that I saw it go into totality, I don't think there was a delay to account for, just because experientially, I was like, man, it's total. And I mean, it seems like it's a fairy tale for me to believe that happened 8 minutes ago and it was just catching up to me, because I don't believe in that distance. So the last thing I'll say is, I think the ether is something that is amazing and it's coming back onto the scene. And I don't know, man, this part's going to get a little wacky, but there has been many times where I've just randomly, quote unquote, randomly thought about my aunt. And I've said, you know what, I'm going to call her. And I call her and she's like, this is crazy. I was just thinking about you. So I think that human beings are way more interconnected than we remember or know. And I mean, it's possible that we had telepathy where like we're speaking now through digital devices over the internet and it's transmitting all over, and then you hear me and you're making sense of my words. But there's a possibility that in the past there was a better form of communication between humans. So my guess is everything is acting and experiencing a bit more instant than the space narrative.
Yeah, and I'll add, I've experienced the same thing that you have, as opposed to calling people and they're like, oh, I was just thinking of you. Like, I've experienced the exact same thing, like by the minute. Like, I've called people and they're like, oh, I was just about to call you. People across the nation. So yeah, I get it, but I'm just curious about, like, I don't believe this whole thing of the sun is already gone 8 minutes and we're still supposed to see it. And like, how do they justify it? And I'll fall back, and Mr. Xavier, let us give us your thoughts.
I was having a snack. I wasn't. My bad. But
Dance, monkey.
I'll come back to me. Come back to me.
Got caught with his hand in the snack jar. I see our boy Mister down there. Do you want a mic, bro? And also, I brought up Indio earlier. We could definitely hear from Indio on some on some topics.
Yeah, I actually want to say something, but it's going to be long, so I was just waiting. I don't know how long it'll be. It might be long. So specifically, I wanted to talk to Shane and Alan, anybody else that knows about mapping. So, are you familiar with Tycho Brahe's?
One second. Shane just went AFK. I don't know anything about it. if it's in the sky, I have no idea.
Up your mic a little bit too, there, buddy.
Yeah.
My mic's bad.
It's just low.
You're just nowhere near it.
Shit, man. No, I'm wearing a headset.
You probably got it up around your. Is the mic actually over your head of the headset? Did you bring it down?
No, it's a wireless headset. It's wireless.
Okay, it was probably your camera or something else. Some other mic
I just
is.
don't want to scream at anybody.
Check your
Is that
input
better?
off your tray.
Yep.
No, check your input source off your tray.
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, because I don't use it on the PC because it always crashes. So, I mean, I could do that.
You could try speakerphone just while you're trying to get your stuff off. You could do speakerphone; it'd be louder.
Yeah, let me disconnect and reconnect the headset.
Okay, while he's doing that, I want to say I talked Mister into going to Flattoberfest with me, so that's going to be pretty sweet. And I also wanted to say hello to Disc Golfer down there as a listener. I looked at his profile, and he has flatearthdave.com on there. He has adl.place on there, so shout out to Disc Golfer. I've been playing for 24 years. It's a great sport.
Nice.
Is this any better?
Yeah, way better.
Okay, cool. So you guys familiar with Tycho Brahe's model?
A little bit.
His solar system model?
Everything goes around the sun, and then the sun goes around the Earth.
Yeah. And so, there's a guy named Simon Shack. I think he's Italian, and another guy, I think he's Dutch. He's an astronomer. So for the last 10 years, they've been trying to like make Tycho's model work. And there's some particular things about it, which are, I watched a couple things that he put out. And so in the course of this, I learned some things in the heliocentric model that don't work. So I almost don't know where to start because there's a lot of like moving parts to this. So the thing is, his claim is that the Earth is moving, right? But it's moving in a circular path. There's no gravity in any of this. So it's moving in a circular path, but it's moving very slow, like super slow. And this is supposed to explain the precession of the equinox in the movement of Polaris, that the Earth's moving in this like slow circle of, what is it, 26,000 years, this great year thing, right? And that this supposedly explains the precession of the equinox. So that's one thing. Another thing he brought up is the negative parallax, right? So apparently Bessel, way back in the day, because he's been going up like what all the old astronomy logs. He isn't going up any of the new astronomy things. So apparently Bessel noticed that there's positive parallax for a portion of the year, and then there's negative parallax for another portion of the year, right? So it's not evenly divided 50-50. It's divided in like, you ever see like the spirograph? Like it makes these like little loops, right? So what he's saying is like the Earth is kind of like, everything around us is making like these little loops, right? And because like when you're on one side of the loop versus the other side of the loop, it makes the stars look like they're positive parallax. Then on the other side, it makes it look like a negative parallax. It's kind of hard to explain this, like, you know, with words. Like you kind of need visualizations. But there's a particular thing he said was that Mars. So when Mars goes into when it does its retrograde motion, the retrograde motion of when it's supposed to be closer versus when it's supposed to be farther away, it subtends more stars in its motion, its retrograde motion of like when it goes. So it goes in one direction and then turns around. When it's closer, this is observation, is when it's closer, this elongated loop, this retrograde loop, takes longer and subtends less stars than when it's farther away. It's a tighter loop, which is exactly backwards of how it should be observed, right? So if it's far away, right, that loop should be tiny because, you know, things get smaller with distance. It has a perspective. So the loop should be tinier and longer, but it's the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be. So when it does what it's, you observe what it should be doing far away when it's close, and then what you observe what it should be doing far near when it's far away, which to me is, it's crazy. And he has like all the ephemeris data and all that shit. And so there's another ephemeris thing where that Mars, like, so say you're looking at the sky, right? And you have a star. And when Mars will align with that star, right, there'll be a certain number of days until it's back to the same point where it lines up with that star again. Something like every 707 days. But like on the seventh try, so 7 times in a row, it'll be 707 days. But then on the 8th try, it'll take something like 532 days. And he said that this never happens in the heliocentric model, but in the Tycho Brahe model, it's exact. It comes up exactly correct. So I just want to like tell you guys about it. Maybe at some point in the future you take a look at it, because it's like boggling my mind. Now, I don't think there's orbits and all this shit, but I think this might be a clue to what's actually going on, because his model, as far as the planets go, is perfect. And then he's got this other thing where the stars are something like 34,000 times closer than what it is in the heliocentric model. So like Sirius, we see, so Sirius is like supposed to be the brightest, biggest star in the sky. And it looks large. But if you look at their claim, it's very tiny. And he was saying, like, the size we see the stars versus what the angular size they say the stars are is completely mismatched. And they say that it's like glare or some other thing, right? They make up some excuse on why it doesn't actually appear the angular size it's supposed to be. Like they'll say it's a bright, refraction, air. They have all sorts of excuses. But Sirius is like extremely different. You shouldn't even see Sirius with the naked eye, according to their angular size, on how far they say it is away, how big it is, and all these other things.
Some stars they like to say are 400 times the radius of our sun.
Yeah, but then they're like freaking a million times further away or something, right? So it's like you shouldn't see it. They should be like the size of freaking atoms and molecules, right? Like, so, like, so he's coming from all this from a different viewpoint. He thinks space is fake and NASA's full of shit and no one's been to any of these places. So there's that. But he also thinks flat Earth is some sort of psyop, which is I'm not with. But the point is that he's found a bunch of flaws, like in the heliocentric model, using this Tycho Brahe model. And I don't know, I just think, like, I can't look at it by myself. I just thought it would be cool if someone else could take a look at, like, what he's come up with. He actually has a simulator, a simulator where you can actually run through all the orbits. Now, these so-called orbits, they're like circular orbits, but some of them are off-center, right? So it's not like they're orbiting around the center point, right? So it's like you have the sun, and the sun's orbiting the Earth, and that's a circular orbit. But you got Mars orbiting the sun, but Mars's orbit is like offset, and like the other orbits of all the other planets are offset.
Alan was mentioning barocentric points earlier.
It's a
They're
biaxial model. You talking about the Tycho's model? While you were talking, I was pulling it up on the side. Their negative parallax argument's pretty good. In terms of the observational stuff, I had I'm sure you know Professor Parks. I had him take a look at some of the one of the observations that they were talking about. That in particular, I think it was negative parallax or something in regards to Polaris. I can't remember the specifics, but anyway, he looked at it and it was the same in the heliocentric model. There was no issue or whatever on that one. But yeah, he does bring up some awesome stuff, and their simulator is really cool. But yeah, there's a lot to dig into. Yeah, and if you could turn your mic down slightly.
You can tilt that, right? You don't have to look at it top down. You can actually tilt it, right? So you can kind of look at it like from an angle, which made me think, right? So so Kepler has like these elliptical orbits.
How can we share this with
what
everybody?
happens if you
what is this model? How can we share it with everybody?
I'll post the sim in the Jumbotron.
Nice.
Give me a second.
That would be awesome.
So I was thinking, like, if you have a circular orbit and you look at it from an angle, it's going to look like an ellipse. So I was thinking, like, maybe these, because you got to think in Indian cosmology, they think that the universe is a bunch of like planes, right? A stack of planes that are stacked on top of each other. Now, what if you have a bunch of like these like circular paths, right? And they're just like tilted from our perspective, so they look a particular way because they're not all on like a single orbital plane or something, right? So Mars looks like in retrograde because it's making this circular path, but because from our viewpoint it's tilted, it makes it look like it's in some weird retrograde, right? So like it's just like just watching it and seeing it just made some ideas pop in my head. They aren't fully fleshed out. I'm not making any claims as to what's true or what's not. I just thought it was super interesting.
Are you trying to say that we're seeing stuff through different dimensions? Is that what you're trying to?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, different planes of existence, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not a materialist.
they definitely put forward some awesome arguments that definitely warrant following up on for sure.
Well, my thing is, if it makes better predictions than the heliocentric Kepler's ephemeris, right? And we know that they're like that ephemeris using like the inverse square law. We know that that's just a bunch of like post hoc bullshit, right? That has to constantly be corrected in real time. Like they'll predict out 100 years, right? But they're going to be correcting it in a week, right? They're like, oh, it was off by like 1/10 of an arc second. We got to do a new calculation for everything. So we know they're constantly fudging, constantly all the time. Like the New Horizons JPL ephemeris, they're just always fudging it. If you watch, like you can download and like watch it over like a FTP, and like you'll see it constantly like make these weird jumps. Like it'll be normal, right? It'll have a rate at which it's like say the speed of Jupiter or something, and then it'll just make this like weird jump out of nowhere, right? All of a sudden the freaking thing, the planet moved, 500,000 fucking miles and increased in velocity by a factor of like 30%. So like they're constantly updating it. So if this Tycho model is an accurate description, there's got to be some way to integrate it into like what we see versus the heliocentric model. And the funny thing is, I've heard this guy talk to like a couple, like, okay, so two of them are physics professors. They teach at university. He's presenting his model, and they can't get over gravity, dude. These people they can't get over it. And they're just like, but what about gravity, man? Like, how does any of this work? Why is there orbits without gravity? And they don't realize that the idea of the inverse square law comes after the elliptical orbit, right? So Kepler came up with the elliptical orbits, and then Newton said, oh, if a force points at one of the foci, that force will fall off inversely proportional to the square of the distance, right? But if you don't have elliptical orbits, there's no necessity for the inverse square law at all, right? Because it wasn't derived experimentally, right? It wasn't like Newton didn't do a bunch of inverse square law experiments, right? He just did the leap of logic of going from little g to big G. Oh, something falls, Newton's apple. Oh, something falls from a tree. That's how the planets work. I mean, which is like a crazy, incredible leap of logic. I mean, and they recognize this in the philosophy of science department, but they don't recognize this in the physics department or anti-flat earthers on frickin' X and YouTube and everywhere else. They don't understand that this is like, there's no logical basis for going from something falls to Kepler's law. There's just no connection there.
No, 100%, man.
Anyway, that's my rant.
No, that was a great rant.
Thank you.
And that's actually exactly what we've been putting forward, the last couple of months. Is they took kinematics, right? They took measurements of the periodicity of the motions of things in the sky. And they found a proportional mathematic relationship. And then Newton came along and was like, hey, we can introduce mass attracting mass here as the dynamics, right? As the actual force and causal mechanism. And when you algebraically work it out, you can make, using the constants and the ratios of the periodicity, well, it all fits proportional because, it's designed to. But because of that, because it works out that way, everyone was like, mystified by that. And they were like, oh my God, everything must be moving because of gravity in the way that was just described by these equations that were hand delivered to me. And, the getting people over that mystification of like, oh, but why does anything move in the sky is exactly it. You can come up with a multitude of reasons, dude. You could say that there's ether winds at different velocities. You could say whatever you want to contribute or attribute to the lights in the sky. And you come up with the math that is backed up by the periodicity of the events. I mean, dog, you can say anything you want, sky's the limit, as they say.
Yeah, it's really weird because I'm listening to him and you're listening to this guy talk, and I posted a link to a different YouTube video which is like 4 hours long, but it's chapterized so you can skip through it. So I'm listening to he's talking to two physicists, and they're just like, holy moly, how does all this stuff work? Because he's showing them that it works and that it matches like the modern ephemeris exactly and better. But when they like toward the end of the talk, you're like, but what about gravity, dude? It's almost like Linus looking for his blanket and just sucking his thumb, dude. It's crazy. It's like a security blanket for them, dude. It was like it blew me away how like they accepted everything he said for 2 hours until they get to the gravity part. Then it's like, no, we can't let that go. Because it's so integral into their worldview, they can't let it go.
No, 100%, man. It's the backbone of why they think the lights in the sky move. They actually think they figured it out. And because that guy didn't include that as the causal mechanism, as the dynamics of it, they were like, what? What are you doing?
Yo, dude, isn't it crazy that the globulars think like, oh, isn't it nice that Newton happened to know the centripetal formula like offhand, and unrelatedly also then came up with law of gravitation, which is like the same thing, just inversely, but like not related and different, but actually only exists when in equilibrium with this other force, which is based on. And it's like, yeah, we have a different interpretation of how he may have used that.
You should check out Feynman's lost lecture. It's on YouTube. So there was a lost lecture he gave, but that lecture is about how Newton came up with the inverse square law, and it kind of goes into the history. But there's also a treatment of that done by the Math Channel 3 Brown 1 Blue, where he also goes over it, kind of like from a different angle. But the whole idea, there is no universal law of gravity that's physical. It's not a physical law. It's a geometric law, right? So you have an ellipse. You have two foci of the ellipse. So if you postulate there's a force that points to one of the foci, that force will always fall off inversely proportional to the square of the distance, no matter where you are on the ellipse, on the rim of the ellipse. So Newton noticed this, right? So he noticed this geometric relationship, and he postulated it as a physical law, right? And that's what people think it is now. What about the law of gravity? They think it's a physical law, like the law of thermodynamics. It's not a physical law that was derived from physics. It was derived from just noticing this geometric relationship.
Dude, Keplerian ellipticity strikes again. The bane of all modern math is that right there. They're like, oh, well, it must be. And, well, we know that. Like, wow.
But people think about it in reverse, right? So they think about it in Newton discovered gravity, and from gravity, they figured out the orbits. No. Kepler came up with elliptical orbits, fudged a lot of data, which is true. I mean, you can look it up. Just type in Kepler fakes data, and there's plenty of articles about how Kepler, he claimed there were observations, but they were calculations, and said he saw it, but he never saw it. He just said he saw it, right? And they know this now because they did calculations. They're like, well, no, his calculation was wrong. So he got revealed because he made a mistake in the calculation and said he saw it there. Now they go, okay, well, this is the actual calculation. There's no possible way he saw it in that location, right? So that's how he kind of got caught. But the point is that Kepler came up with his three planetary laws first, and then gravity came around. It wasn't like gravity, oh, we have this physical theory, and now, oh, look, by the way, it just happens to match the way the planets move. No, it was the other way.
Yep. We say that all the time. It's like, oh, wasn't he such a genius? And we're like, no, wasn't he like a dirty, sneaky Jew almost, right? Like, he's like, hey, Kepler, what do you got over there? Perfectly working equations that describe the periodicity to a T. Oh, well, look behind you. Dun, 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 and behold, now mass is in the equation dynamically, and it's the cause of everything you see in the sky. And it's like, wait a second, like Kepler had it pretty much figured out without you. And he's like, no, you need me. You need mass, or none of this works. And I'm like, well, no. Like just a second ago, we had a pretty Keplerian ellipse that described the periodicity precisely. And he's like, no, you needed mass, or you wouldn't know what to do. And it's like, cool, but then when you use mass and you have more than two bodies, it breaks down. And it's like, nah, don't worry about that. It's fine. We'll figure it out. It's the most retarded history I've ever heard.
We'll just.
Well, I mean, at least Newton was smart enough to. Well, Newton eventually repudiated it, right? When he was like, just action at a distance crap. I mean, he wrote that letter to, I think it was Bishop Berkeley, how anyone that believes in it is not in. What do you say? The exact quote: "Anyone that believes in innate gravity, please don't associate innate gravity to me. Anyone that believes in such a theory is they're not in
Bumbling
possession of their
retard.
faculties."
Yeah. Bumbling
Yeah,
retard.
basically.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's the quote, something like that. Yeah.
It's one of those situations where the 11th decimal point for the significant figure is called for.
Hey, and speaking of the 11th place decimal, Shane, what happens when you interject mass back into the Newtonian derivation of the orbits?
You mean like how it cancels out algebraically or whatever when you equate it to its proper force in the first place, and it's like poof, wasn't there?
No. Somebody corrected you recently and showed you that when you add the mass back in, it corrects the.
Oh my God!
It corrects it by like 0.000000003, and without that,
like
we would never know.
You don't even
anything.
have the correct form. Yeah, we have to do it back in so that we can get the Jupiter's moon to like the 7th decimal. It was like, get the fuck out of here. That's what you needed. That's what breaks it. That's why you need mass to get this moon to the 11th decimal for real. I love it. Science.
Well, yo, thanks for sharing all that, Indio. That's a lot of stuff for people to follow up on. Everyone should definitely check out the Tycho's model and the video he shared. Definitely a lot of gravy there.
Yeah, I just discovered it. I don't know, well, there's this problem with the precession of the equinox that, I don't know if you guys heard this, is that, so there's the precession of the equinox, in case then nobody knows what it is, right? So you have the equinox, the sun will rise, and it'll rise within some constellation. And the constellation that it arises in will drift over time, allegedly. Allegedly, this is the claim. And apparently they say that they can measure it's like some like 0.05 arc seconds or something per year. Some ridiculously small number, which they probably can't measure anyway, right? So because you're measuring at exactly a sunrise and on the horizon, like, and all the problems they say there's with that. But the point is that there's no precession of the planets, right? So if the Earth has a tilt that's wobbling, that's causing the precession of the stars, why isn't the solar system also precessing? So this is a problem. A bunch of people, and the people that have noticed it are brought up to astronomers, and the astronomer goes, "Oh, that's not my specialty," or "I don't know about that," or take it to this other person, and they get the same song and dance everybody else gets, right? That whenever you find a flaw in astronomy, oh, that's not my field, somebody else's field.
They suddenly become ghost astronomers.
Dude, I'm not qualified to know why that is, though. Isn't that exactly what Parks did, though, to us? Professor Parks, PhD astronomer. We were like, what about relativity? He was like, oh, it's not my expertise. But, yeah, I don't need that to keep looking at the stars.
They love their solar system dynamics, man. That's what they really like.
He took offense when I broke it down to, so you look at the sky and you make wild guesses. I was like, that's offensive.
Yo, so I put a link to the Tycho's model in the purple pill thing. And then also there's PDFs and books included on EtherCause. You can download the PDFs from there of the Tycho's model. You can see what he was talking about regarding stellar parallax and the different models that they have. You can see the visuals and stuff that they have in the book. It's very useful for, conceptualizing what was just being discussed.
Yo, thank you. Perfect. Well, cool. We're coming up on 3 hours ish now. So before we start wrapping things up here, does anyone have any final thoughts or questions or anything they wanted to bring up? I see, and yes, Bear, I see you have your hand up. Did you want to talk?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the work you guys do. I'm but a humble student in this sphere of knowledge, so to say, and I really appreciate it.
Well, yo, thanks for popping in and chatting and hanging out. Much appreciated.
We love the new ether cosmographer janitor.
The All Hail King Shane, by the way. Oh, it's driving people nuts.
I see Xavier with his hand up as well, and Mister's here. What up, homie? Homies? Homitos, even?
Yeah. Now that I finished those chips. All right. What was my question? Oh, right. All right. So, I kind of stay away from arguments that I don't know the details of. So, I figure get the details now. So, if a glober tries to invoke, what they do with planar surveying, with geodesic surveying, saying, hey, it's a lot bigger. That's why those flat plane measurements that seem flat are actually a curve if you go out to a larger scale. Which my question leads to my question about equipotential gradient. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the word. So the Gaussian plate argument, I'm not really too keen on how that was established to be true. I know of the argument, but I don't know the equipment. But if that's not important enough to know, what would negate that type of equipotential on a sphere? Does it have to be flat? I'm just thinking, what if the structure was circular and the surface, even if they don't believe in the firmament was around that sphere, like a cell type of thing? Couldn't that work? Or no, that definitely can, and why? Hopefully you get what I'm saying.
No, it can definitely be a sphere. It doesn't need to be flat. I don't know who started that.
Yeah,
well, are you familiar with, or go ahead, Stone. I think you're probably going to say what I was.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if the Earth is a globe and the firmament around the Earth is also a globe, then it would necessarily satisfy the requisite geometry to produce that second Gaussian surface with the same voltage potential we see currently. And this is the problem with the current Helio model going out into space, where there's nothing. There's the opposite of a Gaussian plate on the other side of this, where we observe here the voltage potential coming away from the surface of the Earth increasing, which is backwards to static law. That when you have a static body, it's generally the field that it is emitting in terms of a static force is strongest at nearest its surface. And there has to be an explanation for that in the geometry that we experience here on Earth on the surface. And their model just does not account for that. And this is simple capacitor physics. You've got a ground plate, a charged plate, and what happens in between are the forces, the voltage potentials that we experience, exactly like what we have going on here.
Yep. You said geodesic versus planar. Dude, the thing about geodesic, right, is that they hide it in the correction. So they're like, oh, well, we can't find it in the really small local triangles. And it's like, well, no, there's not corrections there to fudge the gray area for there to be an area for you to insert your sphericity when you adhere to the geoid model, when you try to do the corrections, right? So when they're like, oh, you know what? We predict that we'll find more spherical excess when we do big triangles. And it's like, wait, let me guess. When you're doing corrections and you have a bigger metric, you have a bigger fudge factor, you find bigger metrics, right? So it's all tied to like, oh, when we have a big triangle, we can find more spherical excess, and it's like it's proportionate to the error margin, right? So you're hiding it in the corrections. That's where I think that comes into play.
So Stone, when you said that the most force is the closest to the surface, this is, just correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same reason that when somebody gets electrocuted, when they touch some high voltage freaking line, they get stuck to it, right?
No, that's a little bit different. That has to do with electron discharge in the resolution of the grounding effect in the gap that's being closed between the guy and the charged object and the guy and the ground. What's happening there is that
such
there's
a
so much
different.
current. Yeah, there's so much current traveling through the surface of whatever part of the guy touches the charged object or comes close to touching it, close enough that the arc can begin to resolve through the guy to ground.
Yeah.
That can actually cook and pre-cook the skin on his way to even touching the surface, so that when he finally does, his fingers are so freaking hot they just melt to it. That's and then, you know, of course, once contact is made with the surface of it, there's no more arc. So then it'll begin to cool and immediately stick.
Yo, Stuntz, Xavier.
Oh, that's weird.
Xavier, your question was about the you were kind of alluding to the charge distribution, correct? Is that what you were kind of asking about with that?
Like, how was the gradient measured, I think, too?
Because I think what I was wondering, one thing that pops into my head is just the way that the radial charge distribution works, and it's not like it would be like Stone was describing, where with, you know, we actually, you know, within our system that we kind of conceptualize with two planes, you know, it's simple to explain, but once you actually try to extrapolate that onto a globe, you now have to distribute that charge radially, and that changes the rate at which the charge would change. Like the rate at which the charge would change would be totally different in a radial distribution, because you would have actually not 100 volts per meter, but it would be like 100 volts the first meter, then like another, you know, 1,000 volts for the next meter. It would be like a different, not a linear, or not, maybe I guess it would be linear, but not like a not a direct 100 volts per meter anymore. The whole thing would change. The whole thing would be out of whack. And honestly, I think like everything with the atmos and weather and weather patterns would be really, really different. If you really think about it, like you see the bottom of clouds, they're generally flat, if it's, you know, the right type of cloud. And you've never, at least I know for me, I've never seen clouds that appeared, or weather patterns that have appeared to have any sort of convexity to them. So I think that's like all
No,
kind of
you're right.
plays in. That all kind of plays into that. Like we really, really, really experience everything to be planar.
No, you're right. We would experience the voltage gradient. It would be according to R squared instead of according to D like it is.
There you go. Thank you. Yes. So it'd be a squared function then.
Dude,
on like a simple 100 volts per meter.
Yep.
So yeah, anyone else have? Let's see here. Triggered Toby came up. Mister, you were on deck, I think, if you want to go ahead.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I've been listening in. I keep this short and sweet. I noticed that there's like 6 listeners that might be other listeners. I don't know what that means, if they're anonymous or not. But after listening to the Hildegard thing the other night with Bob, which was super awesome, despite some technical stuff. Hang on, bud. After thinking about it, it makes total sense why we have all these, and this is kind of way off topic, but why we have these people worshiping Saturn and all this stuff, you know, if the firmament or the Gaussian surface being solid, that being like the furthest part of it. I had a really cool meditation about it. But what I would say to those at the bottom listening anonymously, whatever, I think now is the time to kind of join in on this. There's a lot of truth and a lot of love to be spread here. A lot of science, which is super cool, gaining further understanding about where we are and what this place is. And you heard Run Boston talk about, I think, what you would call instantaneous action at a distance through the ether. It's just a really amazing time to be present and be involved, and I'm really grateful for all of you. Yeah, I'm gonna put the boy down for bed, but I've really been thinking about that a lot, that Hildegard model, and kind of just meditating on this idea of what the firmament would be and what the planetary motions would signify in that and everything. And when you really start to think about it, I got a really deep inner knowing about the whole thing. And now's not the time to go into it, but yeah, I'll try and share my thoughts about it more so at an appropriate time. But yeah, I'm grateful for all of you and great topics and everything. I've only been listening in for a little bit, but yeah, keep up the good work, you guys. Thank you.
Man, it's always good.
Much love.
It's always good to hear from you, Mister. I'm glad you popped up. You know, I'll make a closing remark. I've been in this for 2 years, and I thought it was kind of weird, different, awkward, silly. You know, I even questioned myself, what the heck? What am I thinking to go against the globe, the spinning Earth model, which, you know, we're all indoctrinated with. But as time passed and as I investigated and held, you know, two ideas at the same time, I started to realize how foolish and how many holes there were in the heliocentric theory, because it is a theory. And you know what? Liliana said something a little bit earlier about this, but I'll close by saying I'm a better person, stronger person. I have a better capacity to show empathy, to show patience, to show people grace, to love other people that are different than me. Like, I'm a way, way better person 2 years into researching flat Earth than me not ever have heard. I never had heard about it. I had no idea what it was. So if it ends up that I'm wrong, I've gained a ton, and I'll just laugh it off. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there for a couple of years I really thought the heliocentric model had nothing. But currently, it does have nothing. There's no proof. It's all pseudo-science. And if you're down there listening and you want to think I'm an idiot, that's fine. But what you can't do is you can't take away all the knowledge that I've gained listening to these legends speak, share their minds. It is true science. Real science is what they're sharing. And there's discoveries, many discoveries yet to be had when the heliocentric model basically says they've figured most all of it out. They know the temperatures, the distances, the orbits, and all that. But man, it's so fake and gay. That's all I got. I'm proud of everybody that's trying to look into the truth, because the truth does matter. It's important. So much love, y'all.
Hey, did you guys hear Candace say fake and gay? I just wanted to let you know that was personally us.
Really?
I don't know. I started the rumor. So.
Yeah, I heard her say it, and I was just laughing.
Yeah, that was us. That was the Flat Earth crowd. Yep.
Well, I mean, it is true that she it was shortly after she said she was investigating flat Earth. That's pretty funny.
Mr. President, you are always so full of grace, and you're such a great president. I swear that I'm so
best damn president we've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Lily.
just sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. For the people listening down there, just as the official ambassador, just wanted to maybe inspire you that if possible at all, support our teachers. They give us so much amazing content, and the least we can do is show our appreciation. You know, in the Vedic tradition, when you show reverence and respect and appreciation for your teachers, the knowledge, you absorb knowledge better. And the whole cycle becomes way more productive. Like the teacher is inspired, you know, to teach more and teach better and teach with more joy, and students also learn better. So I just like to shamelessly beg on their behalf, because I think it would be great to just make them completely forget about rent and bills and all that stuff, and And so any way that you guys can support our Ether lads, that would be so incredible. So anyway, so that love you guys, and so happy to be part of this lovely community.
Thanks for the kind words, Liliana, and thanks for the vibe that you bring. You bring a lot of love and light, and I like your fearlessness. I like how bold you are to speak, the truth that you have. And I know you mentioned a lot that you're technologically challenged or that you don't know as much as the other guys, but it really doesn't matter what any one of us knows or doesn't know. What matters most is, are you hungry for truth? And whenever you find it, do you share it fearlessly? And you do that well. So much love to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Mr. was saying that you and I, Mr. President, you and I like the heart of the community, and all these other lads are like the brains, the head of the community. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which would make me the toe, and I am proud to be a toe, because without it, you are out of balance. You are welcome for that.
I personally won't have any of it, because I happen to know quite well that JT and Laylee are far from stupid, that's for sure. Both quite brilliant, actually, so I will have none of it.
Right, but what you said is true. Dude, when I started, right, when I first debated against me, you don't need to have the all the knowledge. You just need to have the truth, and like the knowledge that you're right and that you're speaking the truth. That'll guide you every single step of the way. That's what we started with when we had nothing. So like, it's all you need now.
JT's heart makes you think he doesn't know what he's talking about, but then he knows his stuff.
Well, and the heart has intelligence too, so there's levels to that as well. So no means am I saying they are not capable of understanding, because obviously we wouldn't be in this room if there wasn't truth to what we were hearing, and like he said, if it's not, we're all better people for it. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine anyone in this room now that takes this stuff seriously. I mean, how many of you are slower to get angry? How many of you are more empathetic towards other people, regardless of how ridiculous their globy claims may be and how bad they might attack? You can watch the debates where, we've learned that it doesn't do any good to try and attack, because the truth doesn't need defending like that. It's a no. Yeah. So.
It's like an ultimate character building exercise. I think a lot of us, I imagine, kind of have those moments when we got it, especially when you first do your, it depends on the person, I'm sure, but you have those moments of just like, I don't know, like doing it almost because people tell you that you shouldn't. Like you see the faux pas, the taboo of it. And so then you're like, okay, so clearly I need to at least look into this. There's like almost like a duty to look into it when you see how it's being tabooed. And then like, once you pick up that taboo and you kind of like pick up that, that reason for people to have disdain for you or whatever, from then on, it's a nonstop character building exercise. Yeah, I 100% agree. I thought that was a really great point, JT, that even if I found out I was wrong tomorrow, like, for whatever, I don't know what that would entail, but let's just say I found out for sure NASA goes to space and everything, like, it would be an ego hit for sure to an extent, like, not that that's what I try to make this about, but there's no denying that. But then, at the end of the day, once I like figured it all, took it all in and stuff, I would look back at it all and be like, well, I sure learned a lot. Like no matter what's I'm clearly more educated on this topic now than I ever would have been before I did this investigation, and all that character building along the way, being told that I don't know this and I don't know that and I'm an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Dealing with that all the time definitely has a certain, there's a silver lining in that it kind of trains you to take other things, take offense much more slowly. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely, brother. Well said. Thanks for sharing that. And it's funny that you used the word taboo just then, because I had in my brain queued up. I was going to have people go to 2 places. So write this down, make a little note. Check out Taboo Conspiracy if you haven't. That guy is very educated. He has like 6 or 7 kids. I don't know the actual number, but he's a family man. He puts out great content. And I was also going to point people to Stone. Just because he's not on YouTube doesn't mean, you don't need to check out his stuff. So go to BitChute and just search Man of Stone. It'll pop up. All his stuff is fantastic. So that's what I wanted to plug. And I'm going to drop down to listener. And much love to all y'all.
Many thanks.
Absolutely.
Dude,
well, one last thing I'll say is, I think what unites all of us is that, we all are devotees of truth, and that we are all fascinated by this gorgeous, amazing, beautiful universe that is around us, even though we don't really know what it is, but we are fascinated by it.
I would say to that too, Toby, on top of, if NASA did go to space tomorrow, they would have some serious fucking explaining to do, because like, what is wrong with this model, dude? We've been picking this thing apart for years now, and like, there is a whole bunch of holes. Like, I think they would really have to explain how they would make that happen, because you guys are breaking their papers down every single week. Like, how are they going to explain all of that? Like, I would, yeah, that's so, that doesn't even feel like a possibility in my mind, honestly.
Next year when they send you to space, you'll see, dude.
Yeah, it was hard to even do that thought experiment. Like, what would it even be, right? Like, NASA's going to space, I guess. I don't know. Like, I guess that would be an ego hit. Not really.
Dude, somebody actually said that.
Really?
They were like, I lose, but you'll see, stupid flat earther, next year when they send you to space. I was like, oh, well, you got me. That's it.
It's bizarre.
You know what? You're probably right.
NASA has set this decade by decade trend that the more technologically advanced we become as a species, the harder it is to get back to the moon. And it's something they aced on the first trip.
Must be the
50
inverse
years
square
ago.
law thing coming back to bite them, you know what I mean?
Just
No, it's the
amazing
analog
unks down at NASA
No,
headquarters.
I would think you would know better than anyone that it's just that those analog tubes, you just can't quite get the same value out of a digital chip, they lost that technology. So,
Dude, it's inversely proportional to how much tech you have to how hard it is to get back to the moon. You remember that graph about fuck around and find out? Well, it's actually a parabolic curve. Yeah, it's exponential. Anyway.
yeah, they're just learning so much that every time they think they have a new way, they're like, "Oh, we figured it out, an even better way." And they're like, "All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna build our new, better way to
but
go
it's
to the
so
moon."
much
They're like,
harder
"Wait,
'cause
there's an even better way.
Yeah, it's
Start
so-
that new,
We're going to
even
show
better
that
way.
to you in 5 years.
Well, and for anyone who is like still holding on to any kind of globe model or NASA worship, dude, the tell is in the suit. Like, they have a fabric suit with zippers in space. Like,
space zippers, though, to be
dude,
fair.
I don't give a shit. Like, how good Nike's doing, bro. Like, no way. It's in the suit.
Those are space hardened zippers.
Bro, I've been skating for a lot of years. I'll blow a zipper out on a bad kickflip. They're not. No.
I mean, you think about like trying to water seal something, and you can't even. It's so
Guys,
hard just to
guys.
even water seal something, let alone 10 to the negative 17 torr sealed something.
Dude, just think about, would you trust your crotch to the vacuum based on that zipper? Anyway.
Yeah, so on that note, any final thoughts, anyone? Any questions or anything else anyone wanted to pitch in?
No,
like
but
if-
that's a good meme. It should say, "Do you trust NASA with your nuts?" And then have a zipper. You know?
Dude, it's like if this doesn't work, all of your body will get sucked out to space via your nuts. Are you ready?
That's blown out to space.
Sorry,
we should do that and play the clip of the one time they tried to test a spacesuit in a vacuum. And it failed immediately, and the guy almost died.
Yep.
Shout out to your boy.
Yes, I can feel the saliva in my mouth boiling. Not a good sign.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You said you're going to play out with that, Alan?
I'm not, but somebody should.
I don't know. I have to find it.
If you can find it, I'll do it. But yeah. So in closing, we're gonna wrap up here. So check us out tomorrow for Flat Earth Fridays. Shane and I will be streaming that, and then Monday Bennett's gonna pick it back up again and do the Alpha Hildegrad model part 2, part 3, really, depending on which canon you follow. And and then Tuesday I'll be doing a presentation on relativity theory and the Sagnac effect and how they're grossly incompatible. And we'll be getting very specific. We'll be going over the technicals of it, and we'll be reading right from the source material itself, right from Big Ein himself, and see what he has to say on the whole matter. So we're going to get settled up on that. And then let's see, then we'll do another.
GPS dies again.
Yeah, it'll die again. Oh, actually, there'll be some mutual exclusive claims coming out of the GPS arguments. So tune in Tuesday for new GPS arguments. I'm gonna claim mutual exclusivity on a flat Earth on the use of GPS. Now I know, like, oh, but isn't it just towers or whatever? Like, yeah, awesome. But there's more technical stuff to get into, and I think I got a good argument to put forward.
Denied
so
to the
check that out.
What about over the ocean?
Nice. Yeah, definitely check that out. And if you happen to miss it, then you can catch him on Earth Awakenings that following weekend. But that's pretty much everything. So thanks everyone for listening in, and everyone take care. Much love. And thanks for being here.